too much love for me. Got too much love for me. Got too much love for me.
We are live. We are live. I am so hyped right now. I'm so excited. I didn't get no sleep last night. Nothing. Watching the sleep out my eyes. Didn't get any coffee. Didn't get any tea. So y'all have to bear with me. I'm working off of just my ADHD energy right now. So. So everybody, I just want to welcome you to the broadcast. Thank you so much for joining us. Thank you so much for joining us. I just wanna say, oh my gosh, I'm so excited. Right now, so we are at our Let Them Hear You International Women's Day Forum. So we want to celebrate you. Yes, you. I want to celebrate you as a woman. And I want you to do me a favor. So right now, I want you to tag or shout out a woman that you want to celebrate. It could be your mom, it could be your aunt, it could be a woman at your job, it could be the woman that raised you, it could be your sibling, it could be your daughter, it could be any woman out there. I'm just gonna give you guys a second to shout them out. Put it in the comments, tag them. Come on, y'all. Come on, y'all. Let's see. I don't see any comments yet. So we are live on Facebook and I'm sorry, not Instagram. YouTube. We're live on Facebook and YouTube. And okay, I see CC McDuffie says, shout out to her mom. Let's go. Shout out to CC's mom. We celebrate you. Let's see. I'm gonna give people a couple of minutes to come in, and if you don't know what we're doing right now, we are tagging or shouting out a woman in our life. That could be, as Cece mentioned, her mom. It could be your daughter. It could be your coworker. It could be your boss. It could be your sister. It could be your best friend. But we're gonna shout them out. Put them in the comments. Tag them. Tag, like, share. Tag, like, share. Tag, like, share. We are live on Facebook and on YouTube. We are live, everybody. That means no mistakes. on my part. But we are gonna like, share, tag, like, share, tag, like, share, tag, like, share, tag. Click them buttons. I don't know if they're down there or on here, or up here, or somewhere. But you're gonna want to click the tag. You're gonna tag, share, like, follow us. Let's see. We got some more comments here. Of people tagging out their people. Oh, Cece says her spiritual daughters. Shout out to them spiritual daughters. Yes, let's go, spiritual mothers. We got this. Let's see. So I just want to welcome everybody to our International Women's Day Forum. I am very, very hyped. I'm always hyped, but that's just me. You'll get used to it. So I want to say a little bit about Love Me More. So if you're new to our femalehood, I'd like to just give like a little backstory on how we got started, what we do, things like that. So Love Me More actually was founded in 2018, which we just celebrated our anniversary in January. Ooh. Let's go. So we are determined to create a support system that we know is much needed for women today. Um, we know that as a woman, I can say personally, as a woman, I know that support system is needed, and it is it's crucial for us as women to do it together. So that's what we did. We unite women through that support system. We encourage, we inspire, we motivate each other to grow. And our main goal is to do this through conferences, workshops, trainings, and what we call female ships. So our female ships are gatherings that we do in person or virtually, like today. And they are meant to help women understand that they need to love themselves more today than they did yesterday. And we have some of those things coming up soon. Just let me pull up my system here so we can see those. Let's see. Got all our shout outs here. Let me see. So we have some those things coming up as I get those pulled up. So currently we have part two of our workshop that we had in January. And it was our 2023 vision board party. It was so much fun. It was so much fun. I enjoyed it. I enjoyed myself. So let me get that pulled up here. So that is going to be held on March 18th. And then we had our last one we were lucky and to have it at the Mullica Hill Library Systems. So we will be doing from planning to planting. So if you didn't go to the last one, I encourage you to come to this one. It's gonna be great. It's gonna be intense. What I really liked about the last vision board party is it wasn't your typical vision board kind of thing that was going on. So there, and I'm going to do my Oprah voice. Save the date. You're going to want to save the date. So in May, we have our candle making party. So this is a female ship. This will again also be in person. Uh, and it's being hosted by Little White Shedding Company. And they're located in Newfield, New Jersey. So it is a cost for this. You get 2 homemade, I say you made, soy candles. There's gonna be food, drinks, and more importantly, there's gonna be some memories. Which I love me more, girlfriends. So that I think is the most important thing. I want to introduce you to some ladies. And well, I'm not going to introduce them. They're going to introduce themselves. Let me get this pulled up here. Let me see if I can get some of these comments as well. But you ladies are going to want to save those dates, the March 18th and May 13th as well. Just bear with me one moment. Let me put up some of these comments too. Okay, so and if you want to hook up with Love Me More, we do have a website. It is lovememore.org, or you can reach us on Instagram. Our Instagram is love underscore dot me underscore dot more. So love underscore dot me underscore dot more. That's us on Instagram. And you can follow us on Facebook. Obviously, you're following us on Facebook if you're seeing this, or in our YouTube channel as well. So let me get these ladies in here. Hold on. Okay, here we go. So I'm gonna bring the ladies in, and they're gonna introduce themselves to you. Again, I am Vernay, your hostess for the morning. All right.
Hello. Hey, girlfriends. Oh, hello, everyone who is tuning in. We are so excited to be here today with you. I am so excited to be sharing my girlfriends with you. So I am Melissa. I am the founder of the Love Me More organization. And one of the things, the reason I'm saying about sharing my girlfriends with you is because one of the things that we have within the organization is that, you know, when you have something good, you share it with your girlfriends, right? So that's recipes, sales, whatever it is. Like, listen, you found a new spot. I'm sharing it with my girlfriend. So I'm excited because I get to share my girlfriends with y'all, right? I was like, and listen, sometimes girlfriends are hard to come by, you know, because you have the girlfriend and then you got the girlfriend. And the girlfriend is the one that can tell you about yourself, because not everybody can tell you about yourself, right? So I'm so excited because these are women who are near and dear to my heart. And I'm going to allow, you know, we're all going to be introducing ourselves, but just a little quick thing about myself. Like, yes, I said I'm Melissa. I am the founder of the Love Me More organization. We started in 2017. What literally started in a living room, and I mean in my living room, in my house, has become a nonprofit organization. It didn't last long, y'all. When I tell you it didn't last long, I think we had about 3 months. And we are a traveling organization, so we look for places that can house our personalities and our bodies. So we're always looking for big spaces and big places. So aside from the Love Me More organization, I am also a business consultant, and I also do real estate. So if anybody's looking for a house, and listen, let me tell y'all something. Ownership is a mentality, y'all. Okay. I was like, I know everybody like, I want to rent. Y'all see them rent prices? It's expensive. Mortgage is cheaper. That's all I'm gonna say, right? But so yeah, so a little bit about my business is I do business consulting, but I am also an NLP, which basically I help change the mindset. I help people get over blockages sometimes that our environment creates in us, or even what we grew up in. So I'm all about moving forward, and that's actually my tagline for my business, Moving Forward with Melissa Baez. And you can find that information at www.melissabaez.com. All right, that's enough for me. I want the ladies to go ahead and introduce yourself. Come on, girls.
Good morning. I'm Ashley, and professionally, I am in real estate. I've been a real estate investment operator for the last 15 years. So that's just a fancy way of saying that I manage real estate investments for owners. And outside of that, I am really passionate about seeing women thrive and just really tap into the gifts that, are inside of all of us, and not just women, but people in general. I'm also really, really passionate about seeing families restored, and just seeing, communities be reformed and reshaped based on the grassroots efforts within individual families. So that's me in a nutshell. And I'm so excited and grateful to be here this morning.
Yes.
Hi, everybody. I'm Kavina Cropper, and I am the founder of Creation Events and Designs, where we specialize in event decor and event design, and we also do sweet treats as well. When I'm not busy with that, I have 3 young ones. Well, one isn't so young, 14 and twin boys that are 9, and they keep me busy. They are a delight. They are a blessing. A lot of work, but they're a blessing. I promote or love to surround myself with women that are, like Ashley said, are thriving or trying to do the best that they can, even in the season that they're in. So that's me. That's me.
Hello, my name is Sharia Andrews, and it's just an honor to be here on this platform with you guys. I am the owner of Taylor's Construction. We specialize in home renovations, remodeling. We also operate Airbnb based out of in West Philadelphia. My passion is to inspire women, to uplift them, to encourage them, and to give them a voice and let them know that we hear you and we see you.
Yes. All right. You know what? But I gotta say something, right? Because you know how when you be with your girlfriends and stuff, and when it's one thing if we introduce each other, right? But when we introduce ourselves, we be like, "Well, I do." It's like what? Because and I gotta get on Sharia, right? Because I tell you why I gotta get on her, because she's all like, "Oh, well, we do this and we Airbnb." First of all, at our last meeting, she said, and y'all missed it, I'm just gonna give y'all this little tidbit, right? When I tell you, I don't care what the world looks like, you can thrive whatever season you're in. I don't care about what money is and what money ain't and what, inflation. I ain't trying to hear it. You can thrive because she opened 2 Airbnbs during the pandemic. Y'all remember lockdown when we was all up in the house, all locked up? She was over there making business moves. So I'm not trying to hear that water stuff go and we not thriving. We can thrive in every single season that we operating in. So I just had to say that because she's like, "Oh, we operate." No. Now listen,
That's my girlfriend.
Listen, there's a process to everything, right? There's a process to everything. And it was not a thing that happened overnight, but it happened. She gave birth during the pandemic, during lockdown. I mean, we wasn't even just about the mask. Like, we was locked up in the house. And I'm not mad about that because I enjoy being in my house. Like, I'm not mad about the lockdown. I'm not mad about it. But anyway, I'm like, these ladies, I have had time to sit with them and talk with them, and there's always a sharpening. I always feel like, we have to surround ourselves with the right people, and these are my right people, right? These are my right ladies, because there really is a sharpening, and I love that when we get together to talk, because when we do, it's like we just bounce off of each other, and it's like, but she said, hey, that's my birthday. Whose birthday is it? Who got a birthday? Somebody got a birthday? Or did somebody I was like, I don't know, somebody got a birthday. What's that? My mom and my aunts. Okay. I do want to say hello to everybody who's coming into the room. If you haven't shared it, please do. Tag some people on up in here. Get these women up in here. Listen, some people didn't get the day off. Some women are still up at work. So we know they're going to catch the replay. All right. So we're excited for all of you who are here. I see Sharia, she's honoring her mother, her sisters. Like, yes, as we are here, let's honor our mothers, our sisters, our aunties, the grandmothers, all these women that forged the way before us, right? All those generations that are coming now after us, right? Because listen, we teaching stuff here, right? We're teaching the next generation so that they can take this thing and go further than us, right? So I see March 18th. Yes, happy birthday, CC. Happy birthday. Well, early birthday. We're almost there, but that's all right. Happy birthday. So without further ado, I want to go ahead and place it on over to Ashley so she can lead us forth as we get started with our celebration today.
Yes. So as we celebrate International Women's Day amidst Women's Month, I'm going to take just a couple moments to share just some of the history of how we got here. So actually, International Women's Day started in the early 1900s. And basically, it was a time where there was a lot of expansion. There was a lot of turbulence in the industrialized world. And we saw just booming population growth. And with that growth, there was a lot of radical ideologies. There were lots of pioneering women that were out trailblazing and commanding for their voices to be heard, which the theme that we've got today is let them hear you. So in 1908, there was actually a group of 15,000 women that marched throughout New York City, and they had a list of demands. They were demanding shorter work hours, better pay, and voting rights. So over 100 years later, I think it's, wonderful that, we can celebrate that we've got voting rights. So praise God for that. I think we're probably still working on work-life balance, and we're still working on equity in terms of pay. But progress has certainly been made. So that's where we started, and we're still continuing to carry that baton. And then from there, several nations throughout the world actually participate in International Women's Day, which is incredible, especially, when you realize that even countries where women still are considered second class in terms of legislation, the movement has hit those areas as well. And then what started in the US is just a week of recognizing women, just over the course of time progressed into a whole month of recognizing women. So now we've got the month of March, and that started in the early 80s, with the month of March being not international, but being Women's Month as recognized here in the States. So that's kind of how we got here and where we're going. We're still continuing to blaze those trails. And we're just so grateful for women like Melissa that are starting organizations like Love Me More, just to continue to empower us. As much progress as we've made, there's still so much work to be done. So it's just such an honor to be surrounded by such a great group of women that are just doing, what our forefathers or foremothers started so long ago. So in addition to the little history lesson, I'm also just going to talk briefly about the theme for today's session, which is let them hear your voice. And as I thought about the topic, the first thing that came to my mind is, well, who is them and what is it within me that they're going to be hearing? And so I just want to kind of talk about, for us, identifying our sphere of influence, which would be the them or the people that need to hear from us, and, starting to think about identifying what our message is. Um, Regardless of who we are, of what we're doing, we all have gifts and skills that we've been innately blessed with and born with, and we all have a sphere of influence. So as a mom, which I'm a mom, and as many of us are, our first sphere of influence are our children, our households, our families. So even for those of us that may look at our situations and say, well, I'm not a leader, nobody's listening to me. Oh no, there's people listening to you. And your kids, if you're married, your husband, just your household, you have command and authority within that space. So part of today is just recognizing that we need to take up space. We don't have to shrink back, and we should not shrink back. I can remember, just as a little example, I was working out one day, probably about a year ago, and I was standing in the mirror, lifting some free weights, and a man came and stood next to me, and he was kind of closer than was comfortable for me. And so my immediate thought was to kind of scoot over and make room for him. And as I'm doing it, I was convicted in the moment and thought, why are you moving? You were here first. And anyone move into him.
Make room for me. That's what she said.
That was my space. So it just caused me to think, why is it that so often we feel the need to shrink back to make room for people around us, especially men? And it's interesting because I had a conversation with an associate about that, and she told me about a social experiment that one of her peers conducted. And it's very, very telling. So, what this woman decided to do was, in her daily life, she was going to just walk on whatever path she was on. It's, normal if we start to encounter someone that's crossing our path to scoot out the way and make room. But this woman said, no, I'm going to own my lane and stay in it. Yes. And if someone is uncomfortable with that, they're going to need to move. Otherwise, we're going to collide. So over the course of a few weeks of doing that, she said she had a lot of collisions. And she was bumping into people because she stood her ground. She was taking up her space. But what stood out most was that the vast majority of the people that she collided with were men. Wow. And beyond that, specifically, they were white men. Wow. So it just says, or goes to show, not to, look at them in a negative light because they weren't moving, but there's something innate within them that says, I belong here and this is my space to take up. And that's wonderful, great for them, but the same applies to us. Yes. So part of what Melissa was talking about with mindset is just so real. We've got to reprogram our minds to take up space. It's not our job to shrink back and to move over to make way for another man, another woman, another person of a different color. It's not our job to do that. Yes, there are times when we need to be quiet and let someone else share their expertise, but there are also times where we need to use our voices and be heard. So today is just an encouragement to just really be introspective and make sure that the gifts that are inside of us, we're not just allowing them to sit there and go to waste, but we actually allow them to come out. So I've got just a couple questions that I have encountered from a really great psychologist. Her name is Dr. Faith Wokema. And they were 5 questions that she has to help us to kind of uncover our sphere of influence.
Hold on, I need to get my pen.
Yeah.
Get my pen. Don't play around. Y'all better have pen and paper. Let's go.
Yep. So for many of us, when we're trying to understand, what is our purpose, right? Or what is our message? It can be such a hard thing to try to wrap our minds around. So here are 5 questions. And like Melissa said, get your pen, write them down. Yes. And in your quiet time, ponder them. So question number 1, what makes me feel alive when I do it?
Whoa.
Yeah. We all have that thing, or it could be multiple things that we do it and we just feel free. So what is that thing? What makes you feel alive? What breaks your heart? We all have a certain, maybe it's a cause or just something that we see in the world that just makes us, it almost makes us angry. It makes us sad. It might bring us to tears if we think about it. What is that for you? And what would I be doing if fear or money was not an issue?
Listen, come on.
And number 4, what about my mama and them? What runs in my family? What were they good at? If you stop and think, often gifts are generational.
Yes,
And even if you have a family that, might be broken, which all of us have that on some level in our families.
Yes,
but
we do.
yeah, even if we look at our parents and we say, well, my parent was in jail, my parent was on drugs. It doesn't matter. If you still get to the core of that person, there's still something that you can identify in them that was a gift, that was a seed that just maybe never got fully developed.
Yes.
And maybe the circumstances in life kind of covered up that good thing that was in there.
Yep.
So if we can kind of think about our heritage and our ancestral line, what runs in our family? Like, for example, when I think about my family, I can't count the number of educators that are in my family. My mom was an educator. My grandmother was an educator. I have a whole bunch of aunts that are all educators. So that's something generationally that runs in my bloodline. There are other people who ministry runs in their bloodline. Their parent was a pastor, their grandparent was a pastor, so on and so forth. So what runs in your family? And then lastly, number 5, what have I been named? When people talk about you, and we're talking about the good things, what is it that they say? It's very, very often that we hear people identifying things within us that we may not see in ourselves. So if you just really stop and think, what is it that people have called you or have to say about you? And so I love those questions because at the time in my life when I was really trying to uncover, well, what is my message? What could I possibly have to say? These were really concise and pointed questions to help identify that. So as we are letting them hear our voice, what is it that we have to say? What are they hearing? We can go through these questions and kind of process what that may be. And who is them? Well, once we identify what's in us that we carry, then, we might think about, okay, well, who does this message apply to? Or what particular group of people do I feel drawn to? Because at the end of the day, your message is not for everyone. Your voice is not for everyone. There's a specific group of people that all of us are anointed for or are graced to influence. And I heard a really wise person say recently that it's really important to protect your gift. And one way that we can do that is by being cognizant of the spaces that we step into. So as a general example of what that looks like, if I know that my message is for 6-year-old children, then if someone invites me to come speak to 10-year-old children, it would be wise for me to decline that invitation. Mm-hmm. Because when I take my message that's catered to the kindergarten 6-year-olds to the 10-year-olds, they're probably going to look at me like I'm crazy. They're probably going to make fun of me. So often we open ourselves up to warfare, to criticism, to anxiety and stress that we don't need, simply because we are not honoring our audience. And we're trying to step into a realm that is not meant for us in that season.
Oh, and that can bring frustration.
Yes, definitely can
bring such frustration. And I feel like that will also leave us feeling like, maybe I'm not built for this. Like, no. You got to find that niche. That is so good. Keep going. I'm like, that's so good. So good.
Find your audience. And there's always going to be, someone that doesn't agree with what you're saying or someone
all the time. Say it again.
For the people in the back,
I need you to repeat it.
There will always be someone, if not multiple someones, that have something contrary to say about your message. But when you are in the room that your message is for in that season, the voices that are for you will be so much louder than the voices against you. And you will have that security that you need to keep going.
Yes.
So protect your voice. Yes, we want them to hear it, but we also need to protect it. Because like Melissa said, when we step into that space that is not for us in that season, the frustration is real, and it can cause us to question whether or not we really should be sharing.
It brings on such discouragement.
Yep. And I'm going to end here. This is my last my last point for this message is I was reminded in a conversation recently about the parable of the talents in the Bible, where the king, the rich man, he gave, a group of people, each one got a different measure. One got, one measure, one got 2 measures, one got 3, so on and so forth. And, when he came back, the question is, okay, so what do you have for me? Like, with what I gave you, what did you do? And everyone was able to give him back his initial investment with interest, except for the one person. The one person was like, oh, I just buried it under the rock or, wherever. And, I figured that you would be upset if I lost it, which investing it could have resulted in a loss. So here's what you gave me. I don't have anything more, but here's that one thing that you gave me. And he was not happy with that. And when we think about that story, of course, money is the obvious thing. Yes, we learn about investing, but part of that is the gifts that are inside of us. So our Creator, our Father, when he formed us in our mother's wombs, he gave us a specific purpose, a good purpose. And he gave us a voice that he expected us to use. He gave us skills and gifts that he expects us to use. And at the end of the day, he's looking for a return on his investment because we're all investments. And if we allow the traumas that we've been through, if we allow the just negative experiences that we've had to cause us to remain silent or to cause us to remain in fear, then we're not making best use of what's inside of us. So if I put that into a nice final package, the final message is we've all got gifts and talents inside of us, and it is our responsibility to make sure that we use them to the fullest. One way that we can do that is to just start by going through those questions, identifying, what our purpose, what our gifts are, and then just allowing the Lord in his time to amplify our voices. If fear is the only thing that's stopping us from doing something, then probably that's something that we may need to reconsider. So yeah,
that is so good. You know what? When you mentioned too about, I just hid it, because I thought that it would be, I thought you would be upset if I lost it. But when you don't use it, it's already a loss.
Yeah.
Like if we are not using our natural gifts and talents, we are already in the negative. We are already in the negative. This was so good. Because I think that everything you mentioned, like it is so, it's necessary. Like, yes, let them hear you. Who is the them? Who is your sphere of influence? Who, what is your area that you operate in? And what do you have to say? Because what we say, like, whatever it is that we're saying, it absolutely should be activating something. It should activate. When I get around these women, I am activated. Like they activate me. They say things because I come with my woes. I come with my insecurities. I come with the things that make me like, I don't think I'm built for this, or I don't think it's a good idea. When really down all the way down on the bottom of that insecurity is a fear. And then they come and they're just like, no, wait a minute. You know what I mean? Like, they're not trying to hear that. They pull it out of me. They activate something in me. So we all have a sphere of influence. And, you know, I'm laughing because when you said that, you were like, if you're a mom, I was like, first of all y'all announced y'all kids. I ain't say not one thing about my kids. I got 4 kids now. Babe, I ain't say nothing about my kids. I got, listen, they all that stuff. I forgot.
You know what? That's fine because we're people outside of our children. That's just one aspect of us.
Yes. I said, everybody was like, oh, mom. I was like, I'm a mom too. I just ain't.
Yeah, I didn't say yes. I'm a mom. I forgot. You're not just Brielle's mom. You're Melissa.
Yes, because I'm telling you right now, the kids is gone, and I'm with my girlfriend. It's just me. I don't know nothing else. I ain't got no other responsibility outside of this moment. Oh man, that was so awesome.
I do want to touch on. I like when you gave the story. You said that the children were gave each were gave a different measure.
Mm-hmm.
And I can relate to that so much as far as just growing up, right? You know, I didn't grow up with all the fundamentals, right? So I feel like my measuring stick was short, right? So you grow up with the insecurities, the like, okay, well, this is just what it is, right? In my block, in my circle, nothing on the outside. And like you said, he gave me this, right? I started off with this, right? And I had to recognize that, okay, I do have gifts and I have to identify them, but I didn't know how to identify them, right? But again, it comes with experience. Or going through experiences, different experiences. And as I went through different experiences, my measuring stick grew, right? So what do you do with that? And I used it and I felt like, okay, I have to, he gave me, if he didn't give me this, but he gave me a sound mind, right? He gave me a discerned heart, right? He gave me common sense. And common sense can take you a long way.
There's a lot of people we could talk about who ain't got no common sense. Come on, girl, that's a gift.
Yes, and I had to realize that.
Oh, Jesus.
That just spoke to me with the different measuring sticks, because we do get caught up of, well, I wasn't raised with this. I didn't have this. And, you know, and well, this person had more than me. This person had both parents. This person had one parent. This, you know, this person grew up with general wealth. I didn't have that. I had to start here, but it's all a pleasure to just go through those experiences, because it makes you a stronger person and helps you realize the many gifts that you do have.
Yep.
And it also helps you to be able to relate to the majority of people.
Yeah.
So I love that.
Yeah. That is so awesome. That is so awesome. Sheree, well, since you on a roll, girl, why don't you go ahead? Listen. Wait. Don't you got somebody you need to announce? Here's something. Don't you got somebody you need to announce? Since you on a roll, just keep on going, girl. Who you announcing? Who you pulling up? Who you ringing up?
Okay. This next person, I would like to honor. I have known him for 17 years. I had the opportunity to experience many milestones with her. I have watched her go through many hurdles to only grow through them. I am so proud of her and the woman that she has became. And she's here to share her poem with us. And her name is Taisha Scott.
Hi. How you doing? Thanks, Sharia.
You're welcome.
So I just go into my poem. It's called In 1 Year. In 1 year, a lot has happened. So yeah. In 1 year, I have witnessed a pretty expensive painting break into pieces that depreciated its value. This painting in a whole was indeed a puzzle. Sorry, let me just sit this up a little bit, guys, so I could just look at you guys a little bit. A puzzle with 5,000 pieces that was so complicated, just the end pieces took several months to complete. This pretty painting worth 1,000, looked no different than a $10 painting on a shelf. This puzzle took 1 year. In 1 year, I had to separate the puzzle by color, by patterns, and slowly match pieces one by one. Like a broken heart, it takes time to mend back together. This puzzle laid out on my dining room table for days, being exposed to dust, dampness in the air, pieces falling over, being kicked left and right. Over the 1 year, as I tried to collect the missing pieces to complete the puzzle, I found that many pieces were bent, peeling its color off, some stained, some broken, left neglected and incomplete. I continued to look and collect the missing pieces, determined not to give up on this puzzle because this beautiful, expensive masterpiece deserved its time, and I began to snap the pieces together with patience. I got distracted many times. There were times I wanted to give up and throw the puzzle away. Matter of fact, I wanted to pick it up and throw it on the floor with my bare hands and break it up. This 5,000 piece puzzle was so difficult, I wanted to give up over and over again. But I kept telling myself, it's not the timing. It's the completion that's the goal. Sitting on my dining room table, the puzzle absorbed my sweat, my blood, my tears. Sometimes, I'm sorry. Sometimes certain pieces appeared that it would fit. It wouldn't fit, and it did. In 1 year, I finally completed the puzzle. The pieces that were broken were glued back together. The pieces that were bent and creased were folded back into place. The picture was the most beautiful picture I have ever seen. It indeed never lost its value. It just needed to be taken care of and valued. Never give up on your puzzle, no matter how long it takes. It took 1 year. And that is it, ladies. Can you guys see me? Okay.
Oh, yes, we are here. We're just coming on
Okay.
in. So,
All right.
Aisha, tell us a little bit about yourself.
Okay, so my name is Taisha Scott, and I am the founder the founder and CEO for Halo Marie. Halo Marie is my acting camp company. I started, I want to say 2 years ago. I put on my first play in 2019. It was called My Wife is Like. The passion I have behind Halo Marie, it's not only to teach the kids acting, but what I found is it also helped with the kids' self-esteem.
Yes.
It helps with public speaking, especially where I work at is in Chester. So I found a lot of those kids had speech issues and IEPs. So I'm currently right now at a nonprofit at the Cat Center in Chester Community. I'm at Chester Community Charter School, and I'm also at Chester Culture Arts and Technology Center, where we offer free 12 weeks classes. We just ended last week on Saturday, and we're starting back up in spring. So as well, I can give you the information when it's time for enrollment. So I am also an actress on the side, but also I'm a writer. So yeah,
that is awesome. Okay, listen, you can't win it. Be like, I do this, I do this, I do that. Yeah, that's what I'm talking about. And that is so moving. I'm all about, because what I hear is you're recognizing a need within your community.
Yes.
And you're going into action about it.
Yes.
Now let me ask you, so talk to us about your writing, what you just read, your poem that you read for us. What inspired you? Where did this come from?
So in 1 year,
backstory. Because listen, we all know artists, they got backstory. That's the tea. Okay.
Yeah, it's a lot. I think this poem could have been an actual book, which it is going to turn into a book. It's going to be called In 1 Year. But it definitely was I never thought I would have everything flipped to where it's at now in 1 year, meaning that last year, I would say around this time, was going through a lot. Was going through divorce, separation, kids, the separation of my children, work. I was going through actually dealing with things that I never dealt before, which was a loss of my first child, dealing with sexual assault. So I was dealing with a lot that I never seeked any help for. So it just all came to one head, and then it's like my life just like kind of exploded. So in 1 year, what I mean is like the puzzle, it just felt like, you know, you pick up a puzzle, you break it on, you drop it on the floor, it's shattered in pieces. It's like you don't know if you can put it all together. You don't know how long it's going to take. You just feel like you know, it's like a waiting time. You either crumble, you know, either the pieces is going to stay separate, or, you know, one by one is a patience thing. And it's also not a timing thing. What I learned is as long as you have a completion, you complete the goal. I always thought, you know, you got to get it, you got to complete it, you got to do it. And that is a thing when you do have to finish your personal goals, as far as like, you know, a job, and you have to meet certain goals. But when it comes to your mental health, I learned that there is no taking time for that. You really have to have patience. It is a one day at a time process, 1 minute at a time process. You know, you could be high this day, next day you could be low.
Yes.
So when I say that I went through it all, you know, mental hospital, all of that, I never knew that I would end up where I'm at right now. You know, still giving into the arts, and investing my time in the community. I'm still writing. Actually, you know, getting more opportunities that I had before. It's just one of them things that you feel you have to keep going, never give up.
Absolutely.
Yes. Let me tell you, you said a lot there. Go ahead, Sheree. You about to say, who's about to say?
No, go ahead. I say, go ahead.
No, because I'm like, girl, you said a whole bunch, and you went through that real quick. That's all. I'm here like, slow down, because there needs to be some. I know there's women who connect with what you said. Because no, listen, because when you're talking about this, first of all, because I'm gonna tell you what, you know, I visualize things, and when you started saying that about that puzzle, it reminded me of my daughter who went and got this puzzle that was like a 1,000-piece puzzle, because we were doing 500-piece puzzles, and then she brought this one. I said, "Why would you do that?" We never finished it, right? I got so frustrated. I said, "Put that thing back in the box another day," right? Only because we weren't able to do it as quickly as we did the smaller ones. So that's why when you were saying that, I can. But that's also like life, because I too, as yourself, I too have just come out of a divorce as of September of 2022. And it was a 2.5-year battle. And when I tell you that you going through that process, you know, I was like, all I think about is like life in general. You know, you feel like everything that you work for, like everything just got like uprooted. There was like a huge change, and it's like, you know, you had this picture looking this way, and that's not what it is, and now it's a whole bunch of pieces, and now like, what am I going to do with this thing? And it really is about slowly putting the pieces back together and repurposing them. So I just thought, you know, but you said a lot, and you've been through a lot, and I need women to connect with the things that you said, because you didn't just talk about divorce and separation with kids and uprooting, but you also talked about sexual assault. You also talked about miscarrying. Like, these are heavy things. These are heavy things, and we tend to keep quiet. We don't tend to tell everybody, you know, about what we're going through. You know what I mean? So, you know, I need women to be able to connect with you, because my thing is this, and connect with this story, because you start off, when I said, tell me about yourself, you ain't come with the woe. You came in, let me tell you about my life now. Let me tell you where she at now on her healing journey. You know, that's what you came in with. And, you know, that's why we want women to be able to connect with, like, yes, it is a journey. For some, it's going to be longer than others, but we keep pushing until we get it all back together. So I just need women, like, you went through that quick. I need women to connect overcoming right there. Started off about what she doing. Now she done passed that area, that overcame all that, and now she's like, okay, let me go ahead and speak up in this community, and let me serve within my community. Because girl, listen, that was big. That was a lot. So I just had to say that.
Thank you.
It was. It was many topics. Like today I wanted to talk about mental health. And I feel like now is the time, since you know that you went through that, and I feel like we all experience, it's called mental health. We all experience at some point in time in our lives. And if you haven't, you will, right? And it goes back to the woman that came before us, right? No, I feel like no one asks to go through or want to go through the things that you have went through, right? So I feel like in this generation now versus the generation beforehand, the women have paved a way for us, right? So, like you said, sexual assault. Back then it wasn't talked about, right? It wasn't taken serious with the women in our lives, and I can count. I'm and all the women that's on here. We can say we know at least one person in our lives or that we're close to that has been sexual assaulted,
Yes.
and that has never been talked about, right? And it's like, why is that?
And also, let me say this, coming from hush generations.
Yes.
Don't be going out there telling the business.
That's right.
Exactly.
Don't be telling people what's going up under this house. I was like, and that is a hush thing, especially because we find that, victims aren't being covered, but abusers are. I was like, they are the ones that are being protected when victims are not. And, it all comes from a severe hush upbringing where, we don't talk about business like that. You don't put our business out in the streets like that. Don't be telling nobody, don't do like, we have been conditioned.
Yeah,
exactly.
Yeah.
To hush.
And that plays a part again on your mental health, because instead of you're internalizing all of that shame and embarrassment of not being able to let them hear your voice, right? So, and everything that she said, it was the divorce. You don't want to feel embarrassed, ashamed, like a failure, right? The sexual assault, right? The things of being a mom, right? You wear so many hats, but all it has to do, we have to make sure that we take control of our mental health, because it's not if these things happen, is when they happen, and then we have to be in control of how we're going to handle them when they happen. That's all a part of dealing with your mental health, and being able to have a platform where we can share our stories and not feel embarrassed by them, where we can motivate and inspire the next woman up. Okay, you've been through that. I've been through that too. Well, let me tell you how I got over that hurdle. Because so many of us suffer in silence, whereas we don't have to.
Yeah.
Exactly.
We was just talking
and
about
I think
that last night, right? Like, community is important. It's very important. And you will suffer the most when you're by yourself. It's easier to fall. But when you got a community of friends such as here, or a platform such as this, where you can come and feel comfortable to share and receive, it feels like, okay, well, I'm not by myself. Like my sister right here, she went through the same thing I went through. You're not by yourself. You'll realize how important people need to hear you, because it'll give them the freedom to feel like, oh, okay, I can speak. It's okay.
Transparency. Yeah. Like, yes, because that's what lacks. Like, what lacks is genuine transparency. Aside from coming in from hush cultures, we also live in a social media age where everything is staged and everything is perfect, and don't nobody got no issues, and can't nobody tell the truth. You know what I mean? Like, I gotta put out here what I can put out here for views. I gotta put out here what I can put out here so you'll like it, because I want to be TikTok famous and Facebook famous and Instagram famous. You know what I'm saying? Like, it is so fake, and what we lack is the transparency and being able to, and because so many people do keep silent, but no, like, who's gonna be the one to stand up and share? Who's the one that's gonna be like, you know what? I'm not gonna walk around like, why am I ashamed of this? Like, I know who I am. I know what I did. I know what I didn't. Why am I gonna be shamed? You know, so I think that we definitely need to be sharing our stories. Like there is, I'm like, and there is somebody who connects, because that's what all connection is about. When we get together as women, like, first of all, I'm gonna tell you right now, I'm the total opposite, because I did grow up in hush culture. Like, you don't tell nobody nothing, okay?
Yeah.
And for me, I was like, listen, I'm gonna tell my business for anybody. Before you, if you're gonna hear from somebody, you're gonna hear from me.
Mhm.
That's how I feel. Like, you gonna hear from, because you ain't gonna go, you don't have to go around the mill. I'm gonna tell you, like, you know, what's going on. And but that was healing for me, because I grew up in, no, you do not talk about what's going on. You don't mention this, you don't mention that. And you know, even when it's you know, telling people you're too loud, because I'm loud and I'm boisterous and I do not care. Now, growing up, that was always like, oh, she just so loud. Yes, I have my own set volume button. I am grateful for it. Okay. My kids is the same way. They all got their own volume set, but my house is constantly loud. But I know that I have a voice that people need to hear, but that's everybody. That is literally everybody. And we lack that connection because we don't have that transparency. And mental health is serious. Like, listen, I can sit here and talk about what's going on in the school system all day long. That's my mental. Listen, I got mental health and some of that. You know, I'm like, there is so much going on in the world. And I think that it's also really good to be able to share, like, listen, yep, I got a therapist. I enjoy sitting on the couch. I enjoy, like, why aren't we sharing that? You know? So no, like, these are big things that we need to tackle, and it needs to be different. It can't be what we grew up in. It needs to be different.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Yeah, that was good, Sharia. That was really good, because it's definitely important. Mental health is definitely important. I've had my fair shares of therapy appointments. I can't even keep on one hand how many I had, but that's my issue, because I got trust issues. So maybe that's too much for y'all, like I do.
A lot of us do. Go ahead, girl. Listen, go ahead and share, because we can relate.
Okay, you already know. So I had at least 5 different therapists, because at some point in life, you just like, you know what, I'm done. I don't want to talk about it no more. And you get in that place of just wanting to be by yourself. But I promise you, the moment that you continue to isolate yourself is when you fall deeper into frustration, stress, depression, all of it. It gets harder. You have to find you that community of people that you can confide in. It's definitely necessary. I know that when Ashley was making her points today, it was just, girl, you was hitting some stuff in my life personally. Okay, can you? Let me tell you how the conviction was there. Okay, when you're talking about gifts, and I'm in this season of my life, right, where I'm like, I'm trying to find purpose. Like, what is purpose? What does that look like, right? And I'm like, you know, I'm struggling, because I'm like, well, you know, I could do that to make some money, and I'm relating purpose to money. Here, what, and that's not what it is. And I'm like, well, I could do that to make some money. I could do this to make some money. And then I'm finding myself in this place. I'm like, but that's not what I really want to do, though. Like, I don't see myself waking up in the morning saying, oh, let me check my portfolio. I think there's something deeper inside and that's just for me, right? I think it's something deeper within inside of me that I feel like I'm supposed to be doing. And so when you started talking about that gift portion, well, you know what? I never really associated my gifts and purpose. I've always looked at them as two entities, when God has given me these gifts. So why don't I use them as purpose? Why don't I walk in purpose using my gifts and let those gifts make room for me, right? And so it's encouraging to hear that, first of all, that I'm not alone in this whole walk of trying to be heard and find purpose and finding yourself, and, you know, enduring situations. Like, it feels comforting, and, you know, it's not to be promoting anyone's situation, you know, but at the same time, it's like, after a while you get frustrated. And so this conversation was definitely needed. It was,
Yeah.
am I the only one that's like that?
No.
Like just finding purpose. You getting frustrated. If that's you, put it in the comments. Like, girl, that's me. That's me, girl. I be getting frustrated all the time trying to do this to make a little money here, to make a little money there. I don't want to do none of it because it's not purpose. It's not fulfilling me. It's not giving me what I feel like God is leading me to do. And so I think we all need to sit back with those questions and then along with just like analyzing ourselves, like, is that, is that what I need to be doing? What you was going to say, Melissa?
No, because I'm like, listen, I'm like, when I tell y'all I wasn't playing around, I wrote down my questions.
I did.
Like, I'm not playing. And listen, I know we are all operating in something, right? Right now in our lives, we've all given our like mini intros and talked about what we do and so on. But even that, look, Cece wrote, girl, that's me. Listen, but that's not the true definition. And I'm not even going to talk about that because Kavina will be talking about that today as we go on. But just to see how this is all coming together and all the subjects are coming together, and even with Taisha and with her poem and even her sharing her story. Taisha, I do want to say thank you so much for coming on and sharing your story with us and being transparent. Like being transparent, sharing your story, and can you again talk to us about how women or men can connect with you because of your business and what it is that you do?
Okay, I am on Instagram as Halo Marie. Can I type it? Do I put it in the? Where do you?
Yes, you can absolutely. You can put it in the comments.
Okay. So Halo Marie, Halo Dior, it's my personal, but then I also have Halo Marie Acting Camp, which is my Instagram for my campers. I'm also on Facebook, but I'm not really active on Facebook. But honestly, I do need to get better with social media.
Let me tell you something.
I'm more of the.
Let me tell you about that social media though, because I know what it's like to not be on social media like that. I was like, and let me just say this to you.
Yeah.
I know the reason why you're not, because you busy.
Yeah.
Okay. Listen, all this social media, that's a full-time job. You busy. So we get it. I was like, your lack of presence on social media ain't got nothing to do with what you're doing and what that tells me you doing what you in purpose. Come on, go ahead. Go ahead.
Here we go. I love it.
I'm just scrolling down there where to connect with you on Instagram.
Halo Marie Acting Camp and Halo Dior 15. I just do want to share as far as Sharia was saying, like sharing with other, because as she know that it took me a while to share this story. Even like I was going through maybe a year before I actually let it came out to the public, or even close friends knew. I was really battling it with myself. So that hush hush, or trying to make sure like you tackle it before it comes out, or trying to tackle it before it's become something big, even though maybe it didn't need tackling the issue, maybe it just needed to be exposed and then worked on. It was just something I was trying to sweep, hurry up and try to take care of, sweep under the rug so you can keep it moving. And just like, I don't want to deal with this, it's too much or it's too heavy. Let me just continue to live my life and continue to be happy, because I don't want anyone looking at me giving me the side eye, especially if you have type of person I am. I feel like I've always been like a mentor to not only my students, but like as a parent or as a mother, a sister, a daughter. I always felt like I was the mom or the one that everyone comes to. So when it seems like your life is falling apart, it's like, well, wait, now everybody coming to me, my life falling apart. I gotta keep it up. So it's like, I think that was a big piece of it as well. It's like you can't crumble. You got to keep it moving. You got to be hardcore. You can't crack, know. So, but then it came to the point that like, even though you didn't want to, it happened on its own, right? It exploded. So it's like, you got to take care of that before it comes to that point, because it did come to that point. And when that happened, it wasn't a pleasant experience for me. So definitely tackling that before it comes to that head is something that we should work on as women. That mental health piece is tackling that and getting help for that, or talking to somebody.
Yes. Yeah, absolutely. Thank you so much, Taisha. Thank you for being with us today. And
thank you for having me.
We will be in contact, because I'm gonna tell you right now, Vernay, You know, she was
Oh,
on
yeah.
she in the background, but she got act out with Miss Jackson. That's a nonprofit, so y'all need to connect.
Nice.
We
Okay.
making connections. Listen, we still
Okay.
we're not playing around, okay?
Yes.
Right. So y'all need to connect because there is something, you know, and us ladies, we were all chatting last night in Kavina. She was like, as she was saying, like, no, it's time for collaboration. Like there's no more isolation, there's no more hermit crabs, there's no more turtle shells. Like it's time to collaborate, it's time to come out. So there are some women who are in similar fields, and when we come together, it's bigger. We make more noise, we become louder. So y'all need to connect, okay?
Yeah.
Thank you so much for being with us, and
Thank
we
you.
look forward to a future partnership with you.
I look forward to it as well. Thank you, guys. Thank you, ladies.
You.
Enjoy the rest of your day, okay?
Yes,
Right.
you as well. Thank you. Man, I'm telling you right now, like we are really off to something good. I really want to dive into a story because I love how you know, just the way that this is all coming together. And you know, we were talking about women in history, but what I really like is that it's not just about outlining, you know, even as we celebrate, we're not just outlining women in business, you know, women with all these letters behind their names with all these kind of degrees, you know. We are celebrating everyday women. Like we are celebrating women in general overall, right? And I loved how when Ashley was talking, she talked about you know, our area. When she talked about our area of influence, the first thing she said is, if you're a mom, it's in your house, it's with your kids, right? It was like she didn't have to, you don't have to go so far. And even if you're not, because you know, I know women who are not mothers, but they, you know, they are mother figures to people within their family, or you know, even in the workplace, you know, if they're in a school district, whatever, right? And I felt that it was really important this day to honor, you know, especially like all women, because I saw that a lot of programs that were being done today, it was specific to women in technology, you know, women in, you know, government associations and this. But I was just like, well, what if you ain't all that? Like, what if you are the stay-at-home mom who is a worker? So not stay-at-home mom. That's all just because you stay at home don't mean you ain't got no job. I'll tell you what you don't got. You ain't get no sick days when you're a stay-at-home mom. You don't get no paid vacation when you're a stay-at-home mom. Okay? That's what I'm saying. I'm like, the most unruly job to have is a stay-at-home mom. Okay? But anyway, you know, but we want to honor like these women. And I wanted to tell this story of a woman who did not come from anything, you know, and this is a true story. And I want to take it back to like 5th, 6th century. So this was a long time ago, y'all, right? I was like, but I find it necessary. I wanted to dig deep and bring something from times of old, because I want to recognize pioneers, because that's who we are. We are pioneers. Like we were created to birth, and not just individuals. Like we were created to birth ideas, okay, to bring about something new. So this story that I want to talk about is a woman who she was an orphan. And she was raised by her cousin, and where she lived, like which we know today to be Iran, is where she lived. Back in, you know, 5th, 6th century, it was Persia, but you know, we know it today to be Iran. And so it's funny, she being an orphan, being raised by her cousin, you know, the stigma would be she ain't about nothing. She ain't gonna do nothing. You know what I mean? And even in those times, that's not what was, you know, even accepted as women. There was not, you know, women in leadership. You didn't hear about that type thing. But this woman actually came into um got doctrinated into being a queen. And when I say this, I don't mean a queen like she was actually able to like rule and reign like in government. No. She was like, this is my primary wife, okay? Because that's how he viewed her. Like, this is my primary wife, and all you get to do is just, you know, look pretty for me, right? But how how did this woman get into this position? Her name is Esther, and I'm very big on knowing people's names and what they mean. And within two different dictations, her name is known as Star and also as Hidden. So how did this woman get into this position? Like, how is this orphan who does not come from any type of royal background getting into a position where a king sees her and is like, oh, I want this to be my wife? Well, let's talk about the wife that he did have. So this king, whose name was Ahasuerus, he had this wife and her name was Vashti. And they were in this time, they were in celebrations because they had just gained new territory. You know, it's like things that we see today. You see people going to war, trying to get more land, trying to get more territory, blah, 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 right? So they're in this like celebration that has been months. And they're drinking and eating and, you know, they just living their best life. Okay. So the king decides that he wants to bring his wife out because he wants to show her off. Okay. He's like, I want to show my wife off. Listen, they've been drinking. Okay. I'm like, I'm about to get up with this. They've been drinking a whole bunch. And now the husband's like, I want to see my wife. Right. But now he wants to see his wife and bring her out for everybody to see. Well, his wife was like, hold up. I'm a woman of worth. I'm a woman of honor. Like, I'm not trying to be around a whole bunch of drunk men. Y'all been sitting out here partying it up. Listen, I'm going to say it's stanking because I know y'all been drinking and stanking, right? Renee, you can bring the ladies on in here because we're going to have a chat. You don't have to leave me here by myself. I was like, I like having people on with me. I like having the girlfriends with me because they have a lot to say, as y'all can all hear. So anyway, so, you know, he wants to bring her out and she refuses to go. So he sulks and he's upset and he's like, how dare she? But I just want to honor her. I want to honor her for standing her ground, right? For being like, no, because I'm going to tell you, I can relate to that. Listen, I have a son. I don't even like going to the barbershop. When I say, I don't even like going, I don't want to go into the barbershop. I don't want to be in a place with a whole bunch of men. That's not comfortable for me. So I can only see this woman wanting to be in a room full of men who have been drinking forever. And you want to pull me out and you telling me, you know, to get all fine and everything. So no, absolutely not. But in his drunkenness, he's like, well, what we gonna do? Because he's not sober. And you know, people who ain't sober, they don't do things right, right? I don't know. If nobody ever had a drink before, I have. I know we don't do things right when we ain't sober, right? Okay, so here he want to talk to his men friends, right? And I want to say boys. I'm gonna say his men friends. So he talks to me like, what is in the book of the law when your wife don't come when you call her? Because he was that high and he was that mad, right? And they're just like, there is nothing. So what do a bunch of men do? And listen, I'm not male bashing. If there's any men, listen, I'm not bashing y'all, okay? That's not what we do. We're not bashing men. I'm just telling the story, and it is a true story, and I will give you where you can look it up and you can read all about it, okay? So anyway, so he go to his men friends, and he's like, well, what should we do? And it was like, I got it. Let's make a law. Now we're gonna banish her. You don't even want her as a wife because she ain't listening to you, because now she want to stand up. She want to use her voice. She want to set some boundaries. And now she want to have all these women in our houses setting boundaries. Absolutely not. So they was trying to put a stop to it, right? So they came up with this law that, okay, men, they are rulers over their house, and whatever they say is what goes, and they must obey, and this, that, and they banish her because she did not obey. All right. So now listen, I done told you I'm divorced. I don't know if I would have been upset about that, because if I'm dealing with that much hot-headedness, and I'm dealing like, you want me to come up all around you and your drunk friends, and I'm not trying to go, and you can't respect me or honor me, and be like, I don't want you to be all up around men who are drunk, then I don't think I would be so mad that you banished me. I'm just gonna say that personally, going through divorce. I don't think
You did me
I
a
don't look
favor.
at it as a punishment. I think I'd be like, thank you. You know what I mean? And then I probably would have said a prayer for the next one. You know what I'm saying? But that's just me. That's just me. All right. So anyway, so now he, you know, after time, he comes out of his drunkenness, and guess who he remembers? His wife. He's like, oh, I remember her. You know you remembering her. Y'all know I no, I'm not gonna get a deal. We're gonna keep it G. Okay? We're gonna keep it G, right? So he remembers her, and now he's lonely, and now he's looking at his friends like, where my cuddle buddy? Like, y'all had me drunk. I done banished my cuddle buddy.
This
like,
must be the winter time.
Yes, y'all laden up with y'all wives, and here I am missing mine. But because we was all drunk, I decided to listen to you, and now I ain't got no wife, right? But listen, that's not the plot of the story. Okay, that's just the background of how this orphan woman ended up being able to fill a position of another woman who got banished because she stood in honor. And I really want to say that because I feel like, you know, you read people who write about this, you know, this story, and they bash her.
Yeah, they do.
They bash Vashti, and I'm just like, no, like she was a woman of honor. She was a woman who was setting boundaries. And if any of y'all set boundaries, the only people who don't like it are the one that like to violate them.
Mm-hmm.
So all them men that was up in that room was like, oh, we don't like boundaries. Why? Because they like to violate them. But this is not about men, because women do it too, right? That's not a gender thing. Even my kids be, listen, they be crossing boundaries with me, right? So anyway, so here, you know, now he's like, what I'm gonna do? So what did he do? He go to his man's friends again. Like, he should have learned the first time, but he go to his man's friends, like, what we gonna do now? So this is what he says. You know, this is what his friends say. I know. How about we find you a young, beautiful virgin? And I was just like, for real? That's what you come up with? He had a grown woman of honor. That's what you come up with. And I was just, you know, when I think about this story, I always laugh because I'm like, I know if I went to my girls and if I said, like, you know, I was lonely or something, they'd be like, come on, what you want to do? They would not say, oh, I know, Melissa. Like you, a young, handsome virgin. I'm like, would I look like a pedophile? No, ma'am. No, ma'am. Right? But seriously, that's what I'm saying. Like, when I look at that story, that's what I'm like, my girls wouldn't have said that. They'd be like, what you want to do? Where are we going? You know, that's what they would have said, right? But anyway, but this sets up a position to be filled. And that's where our orphan Esther comes in. So as I said, you know, she was an orphan. She was raised by her cousin. She really wasn't, they were not looking at her to be anything because of where she came from. And I think we can all relate to that. Yeah. I think that if we look from where we've come from, many people would have said, like, how you get there? You shouldn't be there, you know? Okay, well, that's what happened with her. So anyway, so they go around and they collect all the young, beautiful virgins, and they can't right away because, again, these are not people who come from royalty, so they're not trained, so they're not going to immediately go before the king and he's going to choose like, oh yeah, this is it. No, they had to go through their training ground, so they spend a year getting trained, getting clean, doing so. It was like a year of spa. Okay, they had like a whole year of spa days and facials and mats and bubble baths and trainings on how to eat and how to sit and how to walk and how to talk. Like, it was just, you know, training ground. So how does he choose his wife, right? So today, you know, we see things like The Bachelor and all that stuff on TV, and they go on dating and everybody over here in competition, and that's not normal, right? Normally, you meet someone, you date, you do interest. Homeboy was sleeping with these women. That's how he was deciding. That's what he used to decide if this is going to be my primary wife. Because as king, and in those times, whoever he slept with, they can't be with nobody else. They got to go down with the rest of the concubines. They can't be with nobody else. So that's why I'm just like, listen, I don't know if I would have been so upset if I was Vashti. Good riddance. That's my transparency. So, so anyway, so he's meeting these women, doing what he do, and then he comes along with Esther, and she had really won the hearts of the people who were even preparing her, and they gave her tips and tricks to talk with him and be with him and things that would really, so it wasn't just her beauty, it wasn't her outer beauty, it really was her inner beauty as well. So anyway, he chooses her. He's like, this is going to be my primary wife, right? Because as I said, yes, she's a queen because she was married to a king, but she did not have rulership. She did not have, like, she was not governing along. Like, he's like, what we doing today? What's on task? Like, what laws we making? What laws we breaking? That was not her. Okay. So anyway, story goes on. And, for it to be someone who comes from nothing to be put in a position of royalty, she probably didn't really know what to do with herself. Like, she just like, I don't even know. I'm not used to this life. I really don't know, what this is about. But she was really placed in a divine position. The reason I say that is because I really do believe in divine positioning. I believe in divine timing. I believe that when we are in the right place at the right time with the right heart, the right belief system, the right faith, right? The right mindset, big things happen. There's like a connection, right? Everything comes into alignment, right? We can do things that we probably wouldn't have been able to do if we didn't believe in ourselves or in our abilities, or if we weren't working out our gifts and our talents. So she comes into this position, and the people, her background, where she comes from, like I said, it was not of royalty, but it also wasn't of the area in which she came from. This was a Jewish individual, and she was not of Persia. She, that wasn't her heritage. That wasn't where she came from, and she ended up keeping that quiet because they were despised there. And if you know anything about what's going on right now in this world, there's still stuff going on between Israel and Iran, and there's talks of wars, and this, like, that stuff is still going on today. And I'm talking about 5th, 6th century stuff. Okay. But anyway, so she kept that silent, and not so purposefully, but he ain't ask. He didn't say, who your mama, who your daddy. That wasn't even a thing. Like, that's what we do, but that wasn't a thing, right? But anyway, so she was placed in the right position and at the right time, because there was something that was going to happen where she was going to have the opportunity to use her voice, not her position, because she was primary wife. She was not queen in rulership. She was queen because she was married to a king. So anyway, as I said, her people were hated amongst. They were hated on, and a lot of us who are quote unquote minorities. I don't like to use that word too much, but we have all experienced, like, I shared, being Hispanic, and things that I hear, derogatory comments, that I hear. So we've all experienced some type of hate or racism or something, right? So they did. But theirs was to the point where they wanted to, we need to kill these people off. Like, they just no good. And they ain't nothing. And that's what the plot was. And we have seen this time after time after time when it comes with the Jewish people. So anyway, so one of the king's right-hand man, and I feel sorry for those two women. But anyway, the right-hand man, who was no good, he was just manipulative, and he wanted to have his way. He wanted to do his thing, and he really wanted to be king. So, back in those days, we see how we write laws, and it has to go through Congress, and it got to go through all these votes and acceptance of this, and now it has to go to this house and that house. Well, that's not the case here. Here it was, where is the ring? So the king wore a ring, and when he sealed a law or an edict or whatever. That was it. It was irrevocable. So him, and I want to call in his drunkenness, whether it was physical or just mental, he gave his king, which means his ring, which was his level of authority, to his right hand man. Like, listen, I love y'all now, but something that's given to me to rule over. I'm not giving that up, not to nobody, because you got your own thing. This is my thing. You got your own thing. But no, he gave that up to him. So he started ruling illicitly. And as he ruled, he decided that, hey, he manipulates the situation and tells this king that, hey, we got some people in our land that just ain't no good. We need to exterminate them. We need to just kind of get rid of them. And he's like, sure, yeah, do what you want to do. So he puts an edict out and he sends it out that these people, they're going to die. Okay. These are Esther's people. Right. But she don't hear about that stuff. Why? Because listen, homegirl, she in her castle. She don't know what's going on with the mere folks. Like, as I said, she's not in a place of reigning. Her husband was, and his husband gave it up to his friend. So anyway, she finds out about it. She finds out about it from the cousin who raised her. And he speaks to her because she's like, wait, something's going on. She heard that he was crying and there was like all this wailing going on in the land and her people weren't good. And he goes and he gives word. He's like, listen, this is what's going on. So and so, they're gonna kill us. You know, on such and such a day, it's out there. They're gonna kill us. And you know, what are you gonna do? Because you just like us. Like that means you too. Like you being primary wife, that don't mean nothing. They coming for you too. And she didn't know what to do because she's like, again, I'm an orphan. Like, I was raised by you and I come into this place and now I'm just being groomed to be a wife. My husband calls me whenever he wants to. And, you know, and at this time, he hasn't called me at all. I haven't seen this man in a minute. Like, so I don't know what you want me to do because he don't even want to hear from me right now. And he activated something in her, but that activation came different because he said to her, like, if you choose to keep silent, in other words, if you choose to not use your voice and bring forth something, somebody else will. Now, listen, I don't know about you. To be my stuff. I don't want nobody stealing from me. Okay. And that just felt like a threat. All right. And sometimes that's the kind of activation that we need. It actually reminds me of when we had our last gathering and Sharia was talking about.
He stole from me.
Yes, yes, right. But she shared where her, you know, she had shared her husband had told her before, you know, about getting into Airbnbs and stuff or whatever. And she's like, yeah, no, I don't think that's going to work or whatever. And they had properties. And this man comes and he wants to rent the properties from her.
And two of them.
Yes. I was like, and it was like he wanted to rent the two properties. And they'd be like, wait, well, what you trying to do with these properties? And he said, oh, I'm going to make them Airbnbs. And yes, you see her reaction, y'all? That's exactly, it was a level of violence. Like, how dare you take my husband's idea and run with it when I didn't want to, right?
Because I was fearful.
Yes, but it was that level of violation that moved her, and they did it. They were successful at it, right?
Yep, activated.
But it was activated. That level of violation activated. So when her cousin was like, well, if you don't do it, somebody will. And guess what? You may not even be around to see it because they coming for you. Because once they find out who you are, so now it was like, oh, wait a minute, that just activated something in me. So she took a couple of days because, you know, she was like, I got to think on this, you know. And what I love about her is that she may have been, you know, an orphan. It didn't matter. But she was a woman of knowledge and wisdom. And she studied her husband. She knew her husband. She didn't manipulate him at all. There was no manipulation. There was no getting my way. She just told him what he needed to hear. And that was it. She satisfied something in him, right? So she goes and, you know, basically she ends up having like this dinner because she knows her husband loves the party. He loves the party. He loves the drink. And he's like, what? You want to do a banquet in my honor? Of course, right? But before even getting to that point, there had to be some type of communication, and there was none. He was not sending for her. And in those times, you can't just go before the king, because the way that it's set up, and y'all know what it's like when y'all go up in these stores, even when y'all go up in these churches, y'all see security all over the place, right? So he got his security like ready, and it ain't like we standing here. No, they like ready, like pew pew. Well, it was no pew pew. Right? Arrows, okay? But they stood ready. So, like, in other words, I'm in the position where if somebody comes in, I'm shooting. That's all. Mm-hmm. And there was this little bit of time for him to raise his scepter, like, no, wait. So she was literally risking her life. She was risking her life for her people. We talking about an orphan who had no business even being there, because she wasn't even of royal blood. But she went through her training ground, and she was wise, and she had knowledge, and she was like, listen, for her, she was like, I'd rather die than be silent. I would rather die than be silent. So, and that's literally what she did, because she knew that going before her husband and not being summoned, the only thing was death. Like, I mean, when the woman ain't come, they banished her. They were just like, just because you ain't come around us when we were drunk, get out of here. And you can't be with nobody else, which I still don't think was a fail. I don't think that was a fail for her. I don't think that was a curse. But anyway, so she goes before her husband. She risked her life, and when he saw her, he was just like all in love, like, yes. What you need? And because it wasn't even like, well, he was like, what you need, I'm gonna give you, I'll give you half of everything I got. What you want, right? People that right now you can't even get 50-50 today. But anyway, we're not even gonna get on that topic. That's not why we here. So anyway, he goes before his wife, and she's just like, hey, baby, I just want to celebrate you. He's like, what? You want to celebrate me? Let's do it. So she's like, yeah, bring your homeboy, right? Bring your best friend, like, bring him on over. We're going to have a nice little banquet. Okay. She comes, feeds them. They say, okay. He said, but why'd you really call me here? Because he knows something up. Listen, husbands know. They know when they come home, and it's like, what, dinner waiting as soon as I get home? You want to rub my feet? You making me a bath? Oh, you want something? Yes, I do. Yes, I do. There is something, right? She did what she needed. She knew her husband's love language. Okay. So, but she knew he wasn't. She's like, he ain't ready. Let me do it again. So she has another banquet, brings them on over. And he's just, they living it up. Like, hey, look at us. Like, what I mean? You see this treatment? She ain't nothing like Vashti. What I mean? Like his ex-wife. He ain't nothing like her. He over there just living it up. And then he asked her, like, hey, okay, but for real, tell me what's going on. Like, what is it? What do you need? Like, why are you doing this? And then she tells him, she's just like, have you lost love for me? Like, she has this deep conversation with her husband. Like, why would you want me killed? Like, you sent your friend to kill me and my people, and he was furious. We already know this man hot-headed because we saw what he did. And he ain't know what to do. When he found out what this man was doing with his ring, in other words, I gave you the authority. With his authority, he's like, yo, with my authority, you trying to do away with my wife? You trying to do away with her people? Like, no. So at that point, his friend dies, right? I want to get, because the story about him, I don't want to get to all that. He ends up dying. And they end up killing him. Let me put it that way. He ain't died, they killed him. But now we still have this thing lingering over the head. What are we gonna do? Because he sealed it with the ring. And the law says that once this has been put out, we can't come against that. It's going to be what it's going to be. And they decided, okay, well, then let's write another law. And let's write a new edict. And let's say we get to fight back. So it wasn't just that they were going to be killed. They weren't even allowed to fight back. And Esther took what she did. She stood up, she used her voice, she activated, and then she activated her people and gave them the power to fight back to injustice. And that's what this is about. When we're talking about let them hear you, like we need to exhibit the same things that she did: the bravery, the courage, the knowledge, the wisdom, the activation, right? Because somebody activated something in her, and she in turn activated something in others, right? And that ended up saving her and her people. But if she would have stayed silent, some may have, there may have been some casualties. But I think the greatest casualty would have been not using her voice and somebody else doing it. I think the shame would have been the greatest casualty. And sometimes that's what happens with us. Like with us, there are things that we have been called to. And I know, like, in what we're living in and the times that we're like, it is no more. Like, listen, we've been in the training ground for years, right? We've been in the background. We've been doing all the study. We've been doing it all, right? Life has conditioned us. Life has trained us. But now it comes to the point where what you gonna do with all that training? What you gonna do with all that experience, right? You just gonna keep it inside? You just gonna bury it? You just gonna hide it? Or you're going to multiply it. And how do we multiply it? By sharing, by activating others. And then that is the multiplication. Homegirl heard the one voice and she was like, I would rather die than stay silent. And we see so much injustice in this world. And it's not, we see it whether it's in government, whether it's in school systems, where it's on the workforce, even if it's in families. Like people, they know what favoritism and stuff look like. People listen, all kinds of people experience injustices, right? But if you stay silent, who's going to be the voice of change? Who's going to be the one to say, you know what, I would rather die than stay silent? And that was her story. She was like, I'd rather die. I would rather die than stay silent. But she needed that voice of activation. And hey, listen, maybe the level we're operating on, it ain't that big. Maybe we're not here to save a whole entire nation. Maybe not coming to kill all our people. You know what I'm saying? Kill all our family off. Maybe that's not the case. But what are you seeing that you are keeping quiet about? What is it that you are seeing that you are keeping quiet about that like I should have said something? Because there's many times we have been through things in life and we be like, you know what? I should have said something. And then we swear we keeping the peace. Like, oh, I was trying. That ain't keeping the peace. That's toxic. That's keeping the toxicity rolling. That's not. That is not peace. That is toxic. And that is a conditioning within toxic atmospheres and environments. So my thing today is for you, when it comes to what you see, and not even just the injustices, but listen, there is something in you that is to activate someone else. Let them hear you. And just like Ashley said, your area of influence, whatever it is, in the home, in your community, in the workplace, wherever you are, wherever you have influence, are you choosing to stay silent? Or you gonna speak up? Because my thing is this, and I had to write this down about her because these were things that stuck out to me. I just want to share real quick my points because as much as I go over this story, I always get something good. I'm like, she always teaching me. I was like, Esther, you just the bomb, girl. Like, and that is, I love them both. They my girlfriends, right? Okay, but anyway, so she listened. And I was like, she listened. She received counsel. In other words, she had the right people around her to counsel her. Sometimes your counseling ain't gonna come from no couch. It's gonna come from your girlfriend. It's gonna come from people that you got surrounding you. So do you have the right people around you to speak into your ear what you need to hear to be activated, to go when you're like, I don't know, when you're meddling around with uncertainty, right? But she had the right people around her, the right people in her ear to counsel her and tell her, no, go. You need to do, if you don't do it, so-and-so gonna do it. Because that'll be me. I'll be like, oh, you don't want, well, you know, so-and-so gonna do it. And that right, I'm like, what do you mean so-and-so gonna do it? Don't be trying to, that's a threat. That's a direct threat. Don't threaten me, but I'm gonna threaten you because you can go. You need to go. Go do it, or so-and-so will do it, right? And I had to write about her bravery because bravery does not indicate the absence of fear, right? Because I do struggle with that. Like I do struggle with fear. And what I mean by that, it's not like, oh my God, I'm scared, but there are things that I know that I should be executing and doing that I'll be like, nah, let me take the back seat on this one. And it's not so much about, it's not about failure, because there are people who have a fear of failure, but there's people who have a fear of success. That is where I fall into line. I fall into line of the fear of success because I'm like, it's too big and I'm just too small. But I'm telling you, you have the right personality. You are the right size for that success. And I'm like, no, you the right woman for the job. You the right woman for the job. You the right woman for the position. No. You big enough. You big enough for that success. You big enough, right? And her thing was she saw something greater. She saw past the fear because shame was too great. Shame was too great. She was like, I can't walk around with my head down knowing that I'm in this position. I really could do something. So her shame spoke louder than that fear. And that's why she said, I would rather die than be silent. That's bravery. It's not that fear ain't there. No. It's just that there's something speaking louder that you give into. All right. That was her baby. And she was selfless. Like it wasn't even about her. It was about a bigger picture. And when we are called to, it really ain't about us. It is a bigger picture. And we hear often somebody waiting for you to step into this, somebody waiting to connect with you, somebody waiting for you to walk in your purpose. We always hear it, and it's so redundant because sometimes as much as we hear it, we still don't move. And that's me. Like when I tell y'all, this is me being transparent. This is my own guilt, y'all. I'm gonna tell y'all my own business. Y'all, if this is you too, okay, but I'm not talking about you. I'm gonna talk about me. All right. I'm gonna talk about me. I hear it all the time, right? And she walked in her womanly essence. She did not use tactics of manipulation. She didn't use anger. Like she didn't use any of that stuff. She used her essence as a woman. And that was the favor that was going before that her husband saw. That was the favor that her husband saw because she studied her husband. She knew what he liked. She knew the way to his heart. And that's what she finessed. It wasn't manipulation. It was her being a woman. It was her being a wife. It was her being a leader that understood this is the way to his heart, because this man crazy. He lost his mind. He didn't to his friend. You know, I was like, and she recognized that. But really, she wanted her husband to have his authority back. She wanted him to have his authority back. And then he got it back and then he gave it to her cousin. But anyway, that's a whole other story, right? That's a whole other story. Homeboy, he didn't want to do the job, y'all. He didn't want to do the job. We're not male bashing. We're not male bashing. Right? But this is what I'm saying. Like when I'm talking about we celebrating the everyday woman, she came from nothing. She came from nothing, and what looked like was by chance was divine alignment. She came into the right timing. She was at the right place at the right time with the right heart. And homegirl was like, Pew! And that's us. We got to come into the right place at the right time with the right heart, with the right spirit, with the right faith, you know what I mean? Like we have to everything works together, and it's going to be like this. So that's all I got. That's all I want to say. I have to tell that story because I think it's like she said, I would rather die than be silent. That's why I'm like, let them hear you. Absolutely. Let them hear you. Speak up. You have a voice. Speak up. You know, and it's not just coming against things. It's congratulating your girlfriends, congratulating these ladies, We see so much competition between women and women not being able to get along. And it's like the world is thriving on drama between women. No,
Yeah.
no. Like we really are like, ain't nobody gonna have your back like that. Ain't nobody gonna have your back like that. So I'm just like, listen, let them hear you. When you're in a place and you see injustice, speak up on it. Wherever you are, you have the right. You don't need to be silent. Oh my gosh, all I hear in my head is I won't be silent. But and listen, y'all know I was watching that daggone Disney movie with my daughter Brielle. Aladdin, and that's like what it sounds like. I won't be silent. That just dropped in my head just now. I was like, oh God. But really, I was like, wherever you are, like use your voice, speak up against the injustice, make a stand. And I promise you, you're gonna have a whole crew, a whole crowd behind you. Use your voice to activate because somebody may want to and may be scared, but because they see you get up and they see you say something, they see you do something, it activates something in them. And that's the same that goes along with your purpose, using your gifts, using your talents. Do it because that is going to motivate somebody else to get up and do their own thing. So that's all I wanted to share when it came to our little story time today.
Yeah.
I love that take on Vashti. That's so powerful because you're right. All we hear is, the condemnation of her. And when you look at society, like you just said, that's what we do to each other. But the perspective that you took to actually celebrate her creating boundaries is powerful.
Yes.
And I think we have to be more cognizant to do that for everyone around us, is to be intentional to find the good thing instead of just focusing on the critical, bad things that we can find.
Yes, absolutely. That's how I'm like, listen, and I'm not mad at her punishment. Like, how people sound like, I'm not mad at that law. Like, I'm like, to see how he was and what he was doing, I was like, I don't think, we saw the one who suffered. It was him. He was the one who said, like, but this boy's like, what am I do now? We was drunk. Y'all had me get rid of my wife. Now I'm sitting here alone and y'all up here boo loving on y'all's. And I ain't got nobody,
Celebrate both of them. That's real.
Yes. Yes. Oh my goodness.
That was good.
Yep. But yeah, so y'all sorry if you hear something in the background. I think I may be having a delivery or something. My dog just woke up and now she's gonna start barking. Hopefully she'll be quiet soon. I was like, so I want to let's keep it moving. Ladies, what do you have to share? Who's sharing next?
Okay, I'll share. Okay, I'm going to talk about mental health. I thought it was frozen, Melissa. He was like, I'm gonna jot down some notes because I don't want to forget the things I want to talk about. So if you see me looking down, forgive me. All right, so let's begin. Today we want to take the time to celebrate the diverse, brilliant women who keeps everything going at home, at work, and in our community. We celebrate the women from our history who helped shape us as individuals. I encourage you to celebrate the women in your life and ask them to prioritize their own mental health. Acknowledge and support women at whatever age or stage they are in life. Let them know that it is okay not to always be okay. Celebrate your own accomplishments and do a mental health self-care checkup. Women are often the caregivers to their family and friends, yet often overlook giving themselves the care they need. Mental health is essential to your well-being, and women must prioritize their own mental health to ensure they remain healthy. Mental health. Mental health looks different on everyone and for everyone. So I want to ask the question, what do mental health look like on you guys?
You asking us? You asking the chat?
Yes.
Sorry.
Question. Chat, you guys, whoever could chime in.
Taking care of our soul, taking care of our mind, our will, our emotions. And I think part of it too is breaking past that strong layer that a lot of us women have and recognizing when our strength is actually masking maybe an injury that is inside that we need to deal with.
Exactly. For me, I feel like, there's negative mental health and there's positive mental health, right? So for the negative, I am a high functioning anxiety person, right? So if you see me like, oh, she's okay, she's not going through nothing, like, or if I tell a story, they're like, wait, you went through what? No, you didn't. You're okay. I'm like, yes, I did. But I never knew that I had that. But I'm like, something is wrong with me, right? I was masking it, right? And I believe I was masking it through work, right? So
I can relate to that. Go ahead, girl.
right. So, but I recognize it as, oh, I'm a hard worker, right? You need me to come in, I'm here. You need me to do a double, I'm here. I'll do it. But it was masking the things that was inside of me, right? That I didn't never deal with or dealt with, right? And I couldn't identify them, right? So I am a high functioning anxiety person. I can function through the storm. I could come up with a plan before the storm hits, right? But I'm suffering internally with racing thoughts, right? And you on the outside will never know. It's negative thoughts, and I develop a coping mechanism, which is my favorite, which is avoidance and withdrawal.
She be putting you had to put out my business out in the streets. Go ahead, girl. Come on.
Withdraw from people. I realized that I was the person. I realized I was this person in 2018. And I didn't know what was happening to my body, my inner self, right? But I can feel that I was going through something that I was not in control of. And it's like I had an out of body experience, and I was not in control of what was happening to my body and my mind, but I knew I was in control of my decision making, and I had to choose either to sit through this out of body experience or go back to hyper functioning person, right? So I chose to sit through it. And that's a hard decision because that's dealing with the challenges that you have to deal with yourself. It's easy for me to deal with other people's issues, but it's hard for me to deal with my own, right? And so I do want to honor you, Melissa, because you probably don't even know when you start hosting your Love Me More events that I was having that outer body experience. And what helps me is the connecting of women and females like you guys, you ladies, right? Just giving that motivational, inspirational words of encouragement that you do and having workshops, right? So I chose to sit in this hyper functioning, to sit in what I was going through. And hold on. So what I realized was that I was suffering old trauma that I haven't dealt with, but only suppressed, and that I developed being a hyper functioning child, which turned into a hyper functioning adult. Wow. Because I figured I had no safe place who's going to help me. Because if you didn't help me as a child, why would you help me as an adult, right?
Wow, that's so true. Yeah.
Right. So why would I'm sorry, hold on, let me lose from my spot. So I realized that I had to release her. So and I did that, and that was the best experience that I felt, right? Because I was changing and evolving into this new woman that I am today.
Yes.
And I have learned that I have a choice and a voice, and I'm allowed to use them both.
Yes.
Yep. So I do just want to thank the women that came before me, because they suffered tremendous trauma that they were never able to deal with, because it was the culture and the environment that they lived in that time of shame, embarrassment, you know, often you hear like back in the day, a lot of the when females get pregnant, they had to, you know, go to another whole state down south or come up over here because of the embarrassment. Just imagine the mental state that put that person in, being ashamed, right? I'm sorry, I lost my my thought. So again, I just want to thank and honor the females and the ladies that came and endured trauma before us, that gave us this platform where as though we don't have to be silent anymore. And it's not shameful, it's not meant to be embarrassed, but it's just like you said, meant to just be genuinely transparent with other people so that they can grow and that basically just won't feel alone.
Yes.
So it's some tips that I use to make sure that because you can't escape the mental health, right? You know, because mental health and mental illness are two different things. Mental illness is like a diagnosis, but your mental health, you can be in control of that. No matter if you develop symptoms of anxiety or, you know, depression, it's just that I learned the main thing is that I am in control of my thoughts, my mind. That negative thought is going to pop up into your head, but when it pop up into your head, you have to develop techniques to use to cast it out.
Yes.
Right? Because I don't know why it's often you get 1,000 negative thoughts more than you get.
Yes.
You probably get like a few, 5. I count on my hand good ones that come across your mind. But your mind is so powerful and it's a muscle. You have to use it over and over again. That's the only way that you can, you know, work through the mental issues that you have and try to deal with the trauma that you have as a child, right? We can't escape it. You know, we didn't ask for it, but it happened. But you have to deal with it because if you don't, it's going to come out. And that's what happened to me. Now, it didn't come out in like a bad way. It was just like I had to release it. I had to stop masking it with doing work, having to do something every 5 minutes to make it seem like, okay, this is my purpose. No, I had to learn to sit down and deal with me.
Yes.
That trauma that was in me. And it felt amazing once I released it. So, you know, dealing with issues, being transparent, talking about it. I say that's the number one key factor that really helped me move forward, is just sharing and continuing to talk about the issues that we all face together.
That is so good. I like that you talked about you got to the root of the issue, which the issue wasn't you as an adult and how you were functioning. There was something that was deeper and it was attached to your childhood. And we see this, this has been a topic that is, you know, on fire. People are going through healing journeys and it is directing them to their childhood. And, you know, I've spoken with women who, you know, we have sat back like, oh, I only remember back to this age. What's wrong with my brain? But like you said, our brain will protect us from remembering certain things because we're not ready to deal with it yet. And then, you know, something may trigger us and then we're wondering like why we're triggered. And I like I had to sit down and deal with me.
And I didn't realize that. I kind of realized that like when I had kids, because I got to see how I was handling I guess being responsible for someone. And I'm like, I don't like this. Like, where is this? Why I'm doing the same thing that I saw that I didn't like what was done to me. Right. And I'm like, where did that come from? But we subconsciously pick up these things without knowing.
It is so true. So share, because I appreciate that you're being so open about it. Because again, like I said, you know, we don't always share our business, and you're sharing your business on a public platform, right? Here, this ain't our little girl talk. We sit in each other's living room. But I commend you for that. And I want to know, like, what were some things that you did? Like, what did you do? What did you have to go back and revisit and say, this is what I experienced. So moving forward, I'm going to have to change this within me so that my children don't experience it, because that really is, we hear, healing childhood trauma. We talk about breaking generational curses. I was like, but the curse is a thing that if it keeps going on, and it's the behaviors, it's the mess that we may have grew up in, that our parents grew up in, and our grandparents grew up in, and we're taking bits and pieces with us, not realizing that it's dysfunction. So what did you, just if you don't mind, share something that you found was attached to childhood trauma, and what did you do to overcome it? What can you tell another woman who can connect with that story?
To set boundaries, right? So with the
you want to go for that one? Go ahead, girl. Let's go.
With the so it's a learned behavior, right? I learned from my mom, right? Like all I saw was my mom work, right? But it was like, and that's because that's what she saw, right? And it wasn't much vocalizing anything, right? It was just more of me watching her. Okay, this is why I grew up to work hard, work, because that's what I saw my mother do. But it wasn't a connection of the intimate see between a parent and a child, right? It was just it was people pleasing, right?
Oh, I can relate to that too. Go ahead.
So then as a child, then it becomes a form of protection. So it was just be quiet, right? You're going to go through things, and oh well, you're just going to have to deal with them, right?
Yeah.
Nobody cares. As a woman, you get the burden, everything get piled on your back, right? Well, and I'm not taking any digs at the men, but it was like the woman had to endure taking care of the kids, working, whereas the father is just providing, right? Just providing, right? So it's like, okay, this is what I gotta grow up to do. Okay, work, I didn't want to have any, I was so scared to have children, because when I was in my management position, and it was just sad to see that, it was a lot of females that work more than men, right? In positions, right? And if people called out, it was 9 out of 10 times the female calling out because they had no one to care for their children. Whereas though the men didn't have those problems. So I'm like, I can't have no kids because how I'm going to work.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
So basically I just endured a lot of trauma as far as just being not sexual assaulted, but just can't find the right word for it, but I'll come back to that. But just a lot, my environment, just the environment that I grew up in, it just wasn't stable. Verbal abuse, mental abuse, just being sexually violated, I should say. Like, women are just like, I didn't like walking down the street if it was a group of guys standing on the corner, because it's like, okay, they're gonna visualize me sexually, like, ill, right? So just a lot of all of that, but I never talked about it because I didn't have nobody to talk to about it, or like, who cares, right? So and then when I found my husband, who was a total opposite, that was so foreign to me, and it was weird to me. Right? Because I'm like, you care, okay, like, right? So, and he was being so nice to me, and it's like, why are you being so nice to me? What do you want?
Yeah,
right? And it's like, that's just being normal. So, and into my marriage, like, I dealt with that. So that's why I said, like, in 2018. And then even being married, I just took on, okay, I got to do everything. Everything's my responsibility. kids working, still gotta come home and cook, clean, doctor's appointment, just the laundry, the schooling. One child has, you know, a speech delay. All this is on me, and that is what. And don't take away the fact that dealing with my siblings, like being, like Taisha said, the go-to person for my mom, all of that, and that just broke me. And I think it was God was telling me, it's like, okay, that was you in that season, right? Trying to say, this is not, you don't have to do that anymore. I'm trying to break you out of that, and I have something new for you. But I just felt so guilty that if I don't do those things, well, then who am I? Because that's all I knew. So those were just some of the things that I went to, but it just, I had no control of it. It just came out of me. Yeah. It was for like, I want to say a year, but it just, I went through it. I didn't know what was happening. I had no control. I like to be in control. I had no control.
I like control too. I can admit to that.
So right now it's like boundaries played a major part in where I'm at today. Like I had to learn how to set boundaries with the people in my life, the people that I love. And it's safe to say that they respected my boundaries.
Yes. Yeah. So let's talk about changing the narrative. And I feel, you know, I had on the podcast I talked about boundaries because I say just growing up, that wasn't something that we talked about, right? Mm-hmm. I learned about boundaries in my 40s. Yeah. Like that's ridiculous. Like that is ridiculous. But that wasn't something that we sat around the table and talked about. You know, like matter of fact, and I always say, I'm like, when we sat around the table to eat, we weren't allowed to talk because we were told we was eating air and we want to eat our food. So we ain't talk at the dinner table. Okay. We sat there and ate. That's what we did. Mm-hmm. You know, but I love that you changed the narrative of that because we learned, regardless of our age of when we learned, our children are growing up with it.
Right.
You know, and my kids will be quick to be like, you know, and I have my oldest daughter who's off in college and she's off in New York. And that was a hard thing for me. And because I felt like she wasn't ready. Like you coming from this small town and you going to big old Manhattan, like you're not ready for this world. You used to my covering, you know? Mm-hmm. And homegirl out there. And I was like, no, she was ready. Because when I tell you, we had our conversation, like, no, they tried, that was a violation of my boundaries. And I had to say this, that, and that was my thing. I didn't want her being taken advantage of. And she's so much stronger.
Yeah.
Away. Like she took all that. And I'm grateful, like, for changing the narrative. Like I commend you, change the narrative.
Because it was like that fear you keep. I felt like I was putting that on to my children.
Yes. Oh, girl, I do that. I did that. I think I still do that.
Right. Yeah, and it just was, you know, it wasn't healthy. But,
it's not.
It resonated with me how you said that you almost like you defined yourself based off of how hard you were working in those efforts. And it just made me think about where in scripture it says, before I formed you in your mother's womb, I knew you and I had a plan for you. And I called you to be, you know, he's talking to Jeremiah, a prophet to the nations, but whatever it is he called us to do, he gave us that seed. So it just seems like what happens is as soon as we come out of the womb, like all of the traumas of life add these false identities that were never meant for us, like Sharia, the hard worker. And, you know, really, we have to get back to that seed that was formed before we made it out into the world. So it's just so cool hearing you describe how God like kind of took you through that journey to peel back those layers and show you who he really intended you to be.
Right, absolutely. And it's, you know, it's still a process, but you can't shut me up now.
I know that's
right. Where she go?
I know that's right.
Let's talk about it. What happened?
Let them hear you.
What he do?
Let them hear you.
I am an advocate for my female sister, like, because, you know, like one thing, oh my gosh, like I do not want any woman to suffer. Like, that's the worst thing, suffering in silence.
Yeah.
Like, no, if I listen, you need, I'm here. What you need? What you need? That is me. That is just so hard. I just saw, a lot of females in my family that just suffered through silence. And they didn't have to.
Yes.
They did not have to.
Again, that is another thing that we've been conditioned to do. We've been conditioned to do. And it's like, it's time to rewrite stories. It's time to change the narrative. Like, we got to change some things up because, if not for anything else, the generation coming up before us, they deserve better.
Yeah, they did.
No, they deserve
I'm
better.
telling everybody. Girl, let me tell you, come get me. No.
We all need that girlfriend.
Yeah.
We all need that girlfriend.
You know what? And I had to think back to like a lot of our parents, like, they stayed through a lot of relationships and endured a lot of suffering that they didn't have to, right? But I was like, what normal person wants to sit through, like, say, mental abuse, verbal abuse, or just being physically assaulted? Like, why, right? So, when I ask, the females in my life, well, why would, because I'm like, for me, I'm like, I'm not sitting through that, right? I don't care who you are, right?
Yep.
So, but I really had to think back and analyze the situation, right? So we just kind of got our rights, right? So a lot of these women that stuck through all of those mental, verbal, physical abuses because they had nothing to fall back on. The man was the brick. They didn't work. They didn't have anything. We just started having women's rights. So it's like, okay, I just have to shut up and just put up with what's going on. Because where am I going to go? What education? They didn't work, right? And women only came into the workforce really when the war happened, because all the men
Yes, yes, exactly.
So they needed to fill these positions, So
yes.
Then when the men came back from war, then, okay, we don't need you no more. And that's when, they started developing, like Ashley was speaking about, the women's right. Like, hold on, wait a second, standing up and letting them hear them.
Yes.
Exactly.
Yes. And when you said that too about because you don't know why, like, women stay, and I feel like, again, that it's a conditioning. And sometimes, we have normalized. It's not sometimes, we have. Toxicity has been normalized. Toxic relationships has been normalized. Toxic behaviors, it's been normal. It's like, no, like, that's what you should expect. And it's like, no, that's not what we should expect. That's not what we should be living. No, that's not healthy. I'm gonna tell you right now, if I go to the store and or I go to a restaurant and they give me some moldy bread and some moldy meat or more, I'm not going to ingest that. I'm not going. I was like, no, that's toxic. It's no good. That's how we need to view our relationships.
Absolutely.
That is toxic. That is not good. It's not good for me. I'm not going to ingest that. I'm not going to be around that. But it has become a great conditioning. And, when we going through COVID, we did do some outreach when it actually came to that, because there was a spike in numbers when it came to domestic violence, just, within, our nation. There was a spike of domestic violence and abuse, and women were just like, and I can say, I'm not saying that it doesn't happen on the other end. I'm just saying who we interacted with, which was women. We did not interact with men who were going through abuse. But they were just like, I'm not gonna make it, and it wasn't even just that, it was even, abuse towards children. There was a spike in that as well. Everybody was home, but there was a conditioning, but something, that's what I'm saying, like, something shook where they were just like, I would rather die than stay silent. And they spoke up to get help, to be able to see that there is better. like there's a better relationship. You know, life can exist without abuse, and abuse is so much more than someone putting their hands on you.
Yeah.
It encompasses mental, it encompasses financial, physical, emotional, and you know, there's so much emphasis on the physical part, but those other, you know, the body, physical body will heal faster than those mental wounds.
Yeah, those mental is nothing to
Yes.
play with. It's
Yes.
nothing to play with.
Yes. And you know, and all I can say is people aren't ready until they're ready. And then when they're ready, ain't nothing holding them back. Cause then it's like, I'm out. You know, I'm like, let's go. You know, call me. You ready? You know, I think, but it is a conditioning, and we understand that. We understand that, and you know, we make ourselves available for when you're ready. So if there is somebody like, when you're ready,
yeah,
got you. Okay, all right. Before we come to a close, we still got one more. Like, we rolling strong, ladies, and thank you so much, because this has really been amazing. There has been so much wealth within our gathering today in our forum, where we're able to share not just our personal stories, but some insight, and to give some encouragement and some empowerment and some activation, because this should be stirring something up on the inside of all of us.
Yeah.
It does not end here. You know, we taking the day to to chat and be empowered, and then we're gonna move on our way. We're not gonna just take this and bury it. We're gonna take this and get with it. All right.
Not gonna let us. Wait, but listen, I wanted to give a fun fact.
Yes.
Okay, so do any of you know when the Family Leave Act came into existence?
What year?
Do you know what I'm talking about, Ashley? I saw
Yeah, FMLA.
Okay. What year? You know what year?
Was it
the 60s?
1993.
You stop it.
Wow.
And you know what? In other countries, it's still doing better than us, because they ain't got, listen, they pay you to stay home with your kid. They will pay you to stay home with your kid till they're like 18, to like raise them until you ain't got to go to work. And you get stipends for staying home.
You need a check for staying home with your kid.
You can't even get, what is it, 6 weeks? If it's non-C-section, 8 weeks if it's a C-section.
12 weeks for a C-section. But guess that was unpaid leave. So paid leave came into effect in 2007.
It's crazy.
And the Lord did it, because I just had my child in 2011, and I ain't know nothing about this.
It's crazy.
Wow.
It is crazy.
But you know, that's why we got to pay homage to those females before us, because they started, like you said, in 1919. That's over almost a century ago.
It's crazy.
And we still fighting for a lot of that same stuff.
Yes. You know, you never think about that when you're at work. Who did like the you know, the maternity leaves, the HR and stuff. Like, I never really thought about that. But yeah, that came into place when, you know, females it was like, oh no. Like Esther, oh no.
Exactly. That's that keep it moving, that keep it moving mentality. Oh, you just dropped the kid? Okay, pick it up and keep it moving. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's like you don't need time to heal. You know what I mean? My gosh. My gosh. No, but it's true, you know, and I'm telling you right now, even for the people that have babies now, I'm like, woo!
All right, I'm done.
But yes, I want to thank you so much, ladies, you know, as we continue on with our chat today, just for everything that you've been sharing, because like I said, you know, it is to bring activation and to be able to relate. You know, there is an ear that is relating to one of your voices and to your story, and they are being activated and encouraged. So thank you so much for being so transparent and sharing. And we want to leave the floor with Kavina so she can share some goodies for her girlfriends today.
Some nuggets. Y'all can get the nuggets all day. And It's been good stuff. I just want to quickly piggyback off of what everybody's been saying today because it's been really good stuff. And it's just been really insightful and encouraging. And I just want to keep the theme of today's conversation with of hearing the voice. And it's important that we really talk about our voice because and being heard too, because that's important as well. Because it's in this culture that we are experiencing a lack of that, and it's important that you felt heard, you feel heard, and you speak your voice. And it was just a couple of days ago, I saw this post that really stuck out for me, and it said, "You choose one of the two pains: the pain of discipline or the pain of regret." And when I was thinking about that, I instantly thought about my life, and I thought about um, where my life was headed, even though I don't even know full direction. I don't have it all put together. I don't have the plan laid out. I don't always have that. But when I heard the pain of regret, it did something to me. When I don't speak up, I have moments of regret because I tend, as Sharia says, I tend to have the take of people pleasing. I struggle with that very much. So if anything, I like to help people before myself. And even when I want to say no, I say yes. And it's all because I'm secretly dealing with insecurities by placing this S on my chest, right? This superwoman complexes. And I'm coming from a family of strong women, and that's all I see. So
Yep.
being vulnerable is not something that's very normal here. And letting your hair down, that's no, you get up, you put yourself together, like you was talking about, Melissa, and you keep it moving.
Keep it moving. I know it.
The bills still gotta get paid. You don't have time to feel depressed. You don't have time to feel whatever anxiety, whatever you're feeling. You got to move past that. You got to keep pushing. And so for a long time, it took me to really look at myself and deal with some internal issues that I was experiencing for myself. So when I was thinking about that whole discipline of regret, I'm thinking about like what business would have started, or book I could have wrote, or program I could have started if I continue to be in this place of people pleasing and also fear. And you talked about that earlier, Melissa. You're not the only one struggling with the fear of success, something being bigger than you, not sure you have the capabilities to handle it, even though we know that God could give us everything we need, right? But we're still looking at our humanity and like, you know what? I'm still trying to get this motherhood together. I'm trying to maybe I won't, maybe that's not y'all thing. Maybe you don't struggle with it. I'm still trying to get this mother. It's no book. It's no book. And so I'm still trying to figure out how to be a better sister, a better daughter, a better friend. I have friends who I haven't talked to in a long time. And you know what? I'm going to do better this year. I'm going to reach out more, things that I'm struggling with internally. And ultimately, it took me down to a path where I saw how much I wasn't speaking up for myself. So my nose wasn't my nose. And because people were able to persuade me. You sure you can't? Okay, I can do it. I do it. And so I struggled with that for a long time. And what I didn't realize was happening internally with me. It was building up. I didn't see it though. I didn't know. It was building up until one day I just exploded. And maybe not in the way that you may think, but I started telling everybody no. Even the people that I'm supposed to say yes to.
Don't stop me now. I'm on a roll. Come on.
You're not getting that. No, I'm not washing your clothes. Like, no, I'm supposed to say yes to those people. I just started saying no to everybody.
Oh,
No. I ain't doing it. You want me to do what? No, I'm not sweeping the porch. I'm not washing dishes. I'm not doing anything. And so it caused some blearness in my abilities to decipher what I should really be doing and what I shouldn't. And so I struggled with that for a while, and I had to really sit with myself and deal with myself and try to figure out, Kavina, what is it? And I told you when we talked about earlier that purpose piece, and I think that was a part of the struggle as well. And I'm still trying to find who I am, but I can't because I'm just dealing with the needs of everybody else. And so that people pleasing had led me to make a lot of decisions and choices that weren't always beneficial for myself. And for sparing someone else's feelings or, things like that. I just know that I had to do better. So I had to start thinking, well, what happens when I don't operate in my gifts? Like Ashley was talking about. What happens when I don't heal myself? Like Cherie was talking about, as far as like my mental and emotional health. I get down to a path where I start making decisions. And now when I look back, I'm regretting some things. I didn't speak up. And I recently had some situations. I'm dealing with a lot. I have kids in the Philadelphia school district, and it's a lot. And things that I should be speaking up for, I just be like, I'm gonna just sit here. I'm gonna just sit here. And then people come to me, and what you want me to do? Some people need a voice when they can't speak. And I don't always see that. And because I like to be in the background. You know what we was talking about? I like to play the background. I don't want to be in nobody's nothing. Sometimes, no, for real. But sometimes people look at you and see you in a light that you don't even see about yourself.
All the time. All the time. Come on. Yep.
It's very true. And so now I'm in a position, I'm on the board, and I'm like still trying to find my way. And I'm like, okay, well, what do I do? You guys start speaking up for people. I can't even speak up for myself sometimes. You want me to speak up for who? And so I see now that life will just put you in positions where you don't have a choice.
Yes.
Just like last night when you came to me.
Yes.
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 I didn't want to, but yes. I struggled, or I was fearful, or I had anxiety, but I'm saying yes.
Yes.
So life will put us in some moments where we have to, just take it, because if not, then someone else is going to do it. And if that is what you're being called to, then yeah, you should be the one. Why not? Why not you? Why not you? Why not me? Because I don't have it all. Like, I don't have everything. I don't know the words to say. Why not you? Don't worry about the words. You're going to get the words. Don't worry about the strategy. You'll get the strategy. My problem is I am the planner by nature, but also in occupation. And so when I don't always see it, and if it's not always planned out, I don't know what to do with that. What do you do?
I can't even tell you how many planners I got, girl. Come on. Come on. Digital, non-digital, like, come on. I know.
Walking in the unknown is difficult for me. So, yeah, walking in the unknown is very difficult. So having to just rely that things will come when it's supposed to come. Because that's all I'm saying, because I'm not going to be before y'all long. That's it. Y'all had already said all the good stuff, so I'm just like,
no, girl, you saying the good stuff. Come on.
And so, just being mindful that you don't want to get to a place in life where you turn back and you regret. Now I'm walking in. There's with the post again. It's two pains: the pain of discipline, which will catapult you and it will put you in places that you wouldn't even imagine that you would ever be in. But then there's the pain of regret. I don't want to look back and be like, oh, I shouldn't have did. I made that, or I didn't do that. Why didn't I do that? Because of insecurities or whatever. You know what I mean? I don't want to do that. So I'd rather walk in the pain of discipline because I know I'm gaining something with that. I know I'm being built with something like that. I know I'm being stronger. My mindset is coming together when I stay disciplined. And next thing you know, you'll be looking around. You thought you was finding purpose. You already been walking in it.
Right.
You've been walking in purpose all this time. I think we think so big about what purpose looks like.
Yeah.
Purpose changes per season, and we just never know what we're supposed to do sometimes, and that's okay. And sit still, and then so that's all I've been. That's what I've been going through. That's the things that have been happening to me. So
I love that because you know, I feel like you touched on both the doing and being.
yeah,
You know, because we do get so wrapped up in the doing, and sometimes you just need to be.
yeah,
Just sit there. Like last week was I took a week of rest, and it was hard because I, you know, in our last gathering, we really talked about how we need to take time like for rest, and that is difficult for me because I am on the go. I can um I can relate to Sharia and what she says because I jump into, when I tell you something going on, I jump right into work. I got a whole new project. I got a whole new something, you know what I mean, that requires everything of me, right? Sitting still is very difficult because when you sit still, you end up having to deal with certain things, right? You know, you have certain things start to come up and it's like, oh, I don't really want to. Let me go do this instead, right? Let me go do that instead, you know? But what I have found that there's so much healing within rest. There's so much rejuvenation within rest. I feel like, yes. Tell myself, we're going to hear about. Yes, absolutely. That's right, Kathy. That's my other girlfriend, y'all. That's my other girlfriend. But I tell you, I just love the way we can connect with women because we have such a great friendship. And her daughter and my daughter, so my Brielle, they are best friends. You can't tell them nothing. Like they tight. And it just feels so good when your kids is tight, and then you get to be tight with the mamas too. That is just such a great feeling, you know? But I love her. She's so great. And she's one of an amazing relationship that came out of this whole COVID thing. So anyway, but sometimes, you know, it just has to do with just being and just resting and, you know, being restored, you know, within ourselves, like within our minds. But rest has always been a hard thing. And then when I got to the end of the week, Ashley asked, like, she was like, hey girl, how's it going? I was like, I think I want more week. Because then I started getting used to it, but it was about to be over. And I was like, girl, I was taking naps. Like I was like, no. And and what's funny is, so Kavina, you talked about, you know, you're a planner. Girl, I had all kinds of stuff planned. And I was like, oh, we're going to do this. We're going to do that. We're going to do this. Like, that was my rest. And then I got up and I'm like, I get up and get ready every day. Like, I want to take this week and not get up and get ready for anything outside of taking my kids to school and picking them up. And that's exactly what I did. Like everything I was like, I don't want to do anything. I'm just gonna rest. And it was the greatest thing that and then when it came to an end, it was just like so refreshed. So I love that, you know, when if you don't know, it's okay, just be. Like just be, because we get so caught up in doing, and we ain't gonna miss nothing. Like we are not going to miss anything. And we really are in a time where we're not being put in a position for the no's. Everything is yes. Yes, I'm there. Yes, I'm doing. Now I'm not talking about the no's with the boundaries, because I love when she was talking about her. I was telling everybody no. I said, it feels good. Then you say,
I got carried away now.
No, for real. It's like, listen, I'm exercising my no.
Get somebody else to do it.
Somebody else to do it.
But it's so true, because when you do, like, you know, when you deal with things with people pleasing, it is difficult to turn people away. And you may say no the first time, but let them ask you again. You be like, okay.
Yeah.
You're giving so quick. And I'm talking about myself.
Guilty.
I'm not even talking about y'all. I'm talking about myself.
I'm thinking about my 6-year-old. I mean, she's the best at wearing me down with the question.
Man, I'm gonna tell you right now, if don't nobody teach us to set boundaries, gonna be our kids. Our kids is gonna teach us to set boundaries.
I'm like, this not gonna work for me.
Yes, like no, not. And that brings
Not
me
work.
back to a book, a study I was a part of years ago by Lisa Turkis, and it was The Best Yes. And she focused on, that was like her focus of the book was giving you a better outlook when you have to say no, when you're turning something down. It's like, so in other words, I'm saying no to this so I can say yes to something better. And that's what, like, when you feel the pressure of, somebody calling you and asking you for something, but you don't know if you can really do it, like training you to be like, I need 24 hours. I'll get back to you in 24 hours. Not trying to be rude. I'll tell you tomorrow. I need to sleep on this, but sometimes we're so quick to be like, yes, 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 yes. And she really brought this book about, analyzing, is this a good yes, a better yes, or a best yes? And I want the best. Like, I want the best yes. All that other stuff can go to somebody else because that may be their best yes, So I feel like one of the things that I had to walk away with that was, if I say no to this, I get to say yes to something better. I get to say yes to my best. And that's what I wanted for myself. So that's, what you talked about, Kavina, that's what it brought to my mind.
Kavina, you also talk about your purpose. We was talking on the last chat where we were talking about our purpose, and I felt like me looking for my purpose was wearing me out, was burning me out. I'm like, what is it? Like, Lord, like, I can't hear what is it? I can't. Right? And I just came to realize that I have many purposes.
Yes.
It's like
you're multifunctional. Come on.
Yeah, like, you don't have to be narrowed down to just.
Yes. We do a lot of things great. Come on.
That took so much of a burden off of me, because I was just focused on finding one thing. Because they say find something you're good at. If you love it, you can make money off of it or whatever. You'll be happy. But I'm like, I like to clean. I love to clean. It is so satisfying to me.
Okay,
right?
come over.
Listen,
see, that's the
hold on, me first.
listen. But listen, right? When you say that, but it's like, I like to clean for myself, not for others.
Never mind.
We should have started with that.
Okay.
Don't mess with my emotions.
But that is a passion of mine. It's just like when you see less clutter, it's less clutter in your brain, right?
No, it's true. That it is definitely. There is a connection. Yes, there is.
Yeah. So like that's what I like to do. And
I don't say that, but I got a basket of laundry right here.
I don't have to make $1 million off of it, right? Of the purpose that I like to do. That's what I like to do.
Yes.
It's fulfilling, and that's the focus, that it's fulfilling.
Yeah.
Because how many things do we tap into and we're like, that wasn't fulfilling. That just then it put into me.
Yes.
To keep me going,
Got me feeling all down, wondering why, because I need a refreshing now. I done filled something else up and I'm over here all in.
Strawberry acai, please.
But that brings me back to what Ashley and her points that she brought, those 5 points. Because, like Kavina said, purpose, it does change like within season. It may look a little different. That's why I feel like it's purpose and then it's repurpose. I was like, we see that all the time with the DIY stuff. It made me think about, like the little egg cartons. It's Easter time because they're doing all Easter eggs and everything. But you see people repurpose them little egg cartons and put paint in them. And they use it like so they can paint. I'm like, but it's still serving a purpose. It may not be housing an egg, but it's housing paint now. You know what I mean? Like there is a repurpose for it. And that just much like with us, our purpose, will stay the same, but it's going to look different in season. And it is, we are multifunctional. So we will operate in different areas in life, in different ways, but it's still purpose. It's not that, you doing too much. No. I'm just over here operating my own.
Right.
I'm just doing what I'm supposed to be doing. Right. But I really like those points. that and Ashley, can you just bring those points for anybody who was not on the live in the beginning that may miss those points? I haven't written down. I don't want to read them because these are my notes. I would rather you to bring them because you are the one who shared this with us.
Yes, yes. And I got these from a psychologist I like to listen to. Her name is Dr. Faith Wolkema. And so these
you
are
know she's gonna be there in March, right? I mean next month we go to Minnesota.
Yes,
we go to the conference, y'all. I was gonna say she's gonna be at the conference we're gonna be at. But go ahead.
Yes. She's a really great teacher, but these questions I got from her, and number one is, what makes me feel alive when I do it? Number two, what breaks my heart? Number three, what would I be doing if fear or money was not an issue?
Yes.
Number four, what about my mama and them? What runs in my family? And for that question, I just have to share something because I think often, and I touched on this earlier, we can think, well, my family is a mess. Like they don't have any gifts. But a woman of God just shared a powerful story with me a few weeks ago. And it's going to sound familiar, but she was just talking about her dad, who was like one of the black sheep of the family, you know, had some addiction issues and just wasn't thought too highly of. But after he passed away, it was a shock because unbeknownst to her, he had saved a large sum of cash money to pass down to her. And it struck me because it's like, wow, this man that everybody thinks is a mess has this great gift of stewardship. So I share that to say that just because your parent is, you know, unsuccessful, quote unquote, by societal standards, maybe they're in jail, maybe they deal with addiction, maybe they've got untreated mental health. There's still something in there that is a good generational blessing or gift that you can tap into.
They still good for something. They still good for something.
You got some layers to find it, but it's there.
Yes.
And then the last question is, what have I been named? And was it you, Kavina, or Cherie? I don't remember which one, but one of you tapped into the fact that oftentimes, oh no, it was you, Kavina, talking about people seeing a leader in you or an advocate, and you're like, well, why do you want me to speak up for that person? So what have I been named makes me think about those things that people say about us that we may not see in ourselves right away. And I think at the end of the day, what all of these questions is getting us towards is to think about like problems that we see and realize that the solution is in us on some level.
Yes. It's like what you got in your house. Don't come on the store what you got in your house. Listen, you got the solution. You got the solution. And sometimes, you know, things look a little bigger than what the solution is, but it's there. It is there. And I love that. I love that, you know, what really is standing out in my heart is surrounding yourself with people who see in you what you don't see in yourself. Those are the people you walk with. Matter of fact, those are the people you run with because they're not going to. Those are the people you run with. That's who you're going to get your cardio in with, okay?
Oh, man.
Oh, my gosh. But this has been awesome. Ladies, any last comments or thoughts that you want to share before we close this up today?
Let's see my mini notes that I had that I thought.
I see a comment that says, need the gift of leaving me alone. I feel like we need that gift for ourselves because we're so hard on ourselves.
We are.
Oh my gosh, that is hilarious.
I just want to thank you for having me, Melissa, and me giving me the opportunity to invite Kavina and Taisha.
Yes.
To their story.
No, thank you. Ladies, I thank you so much for, you know, for saying yes, you know, for being the yes women to say to be a part of this. Because I know, like, you know, we have our girl talk and it's all good. You know, we sit on the couch and we drink coffee, tea, whatever, and we spill the beans, but it's enough thing to spill the beans all live and everybody all up in the business. Because, you know, some people going to take it like that. Other people going to be like, you need to get on that live because so-and-so said, da-da-da. Yeah, I mean, listen, there's all kinds of them out there and that's all right. That's all right. The fact of the matter is they don't hear from us first, right? They don't
Yeah,
hear
yeah,
from us.
yeah.
I thank you ladies so much for being my girlfriends and sharing your girlfriend goodies with everybody else, because that's what I said. I said, we came in, I said, no, I said, I got a treat for y'all. I'm sharing my girlfriends with y'all, you know. But this was it was wealthy.
Yeah.
It was wealthy, and I appreciate all of you so much. Renee, who was in the background, and she's been working all the little
Yeah.
doodads that you see coming across the screens and the this and the that. We thank you, Renee, for all that you did between putting this together for us so that we could sit back and you see there is her information, because this is her business. So she is awesome at what she does. I say what I love about her is you can have an idea about something that has to do technically, and if she don't know, she'll figure it out. You would never know if she knows it or not, because she's making it happen. All right, she is the one to make it happen. So if you missed anything, please visit the Love Me More website when it comes to what we have upcoming. We do have an event coming up on the 18th. Where we are going from planning to planting, that has to do with our vision board workshop. We had the first one in January, and we are taking what we created, that planning, we took this time to plan, but now it's time to plant. Okay. So now it's time to put things in motion. So we will be gathering on the 18th. We will be in Mullica Hill. And as always, we will have food. Listen, all of our gatherings have food. I'm gonna tell you right now, because that's what we do. We operate well. See, there it is. Vision Board Workshop Part 2, from planning to planting. It is March 18th, and it is if you go on our website at www.lovememore, that's LUV memore.org, you can register there. That is a free workshop. That is part 2. We still have another series in this. So even if you were not at the first one, you can still come here. Some of us have done our own vision boards anyway. And if you haven't, you can connect with me, and I can just give you some points of what we went over, and so that you still can attend. We are not about leaving anybody behind. We also have in May, May 13th, where we are going to be doing we're going to have a female ship. That's what we call them, our female ship. Now that one costs. That one's $45, but this is what you are getting. You're getting 2 candles that you will be making. So we are actually going for a candle making class. And it's so cute. Y'all, if y'all get on their website, look up Little White Shed and Co. And Company. You will see it's a big shed, and it is I can't wait to get in there. Wait till y'all see. It's so rustic. It's so nice. It's going to be beautiful. But anyway, it's $45 a person. You get to make 2 candles, and obviously we're going to be providing drinks. That is going to be a 3-hour event. It's just some time for us to get together and have a great time, make some candles. I love candles. I have one burning behind me, but I've never made my own. So I am really looking forward to this. Go on. Well, actually, that's not on the website yet, because when we register for there, we'll have a link where you can register for our party on Little White Shed and Company. So that will be going out shortly, but please save the date. It is May 13th. It is a Saturday. Again, it's the $45, but you get 2 candles and your food and your drinks. So but yeah, so that's what we have coming up in the near future. I hope that you all enjoyed this little tea talk that we had. I was really sipping my tea, y'all. Y'all don't understand. And then I had this filling it up just because this was nice and hot. I was really sipping my tea throughout this whole thing. But anyway, I hope I want to thank everyone who tuned in. If you didn't see it all, you can go back, go through, watch the replay, or even share it with someone that you think would benefit from our girl chat today. But just remember, let them hear you. Identify your sphere of influence. We all have one, and use your voice, and use your voice. What are you saying? Use your voice. We are taking a stand for each other. We encourage each other. We empower each other. Like I said, we activate each other. All right. So I just want to, I hope everyone has a great remainder of your day. I have a couple hours to myself still. So I'm going to enjoy it. I hope you all do too. And ladies, thank you so much for joining. For everyone who got on, thank you for listening. Thank you for sharing. Thank you for commenting. And we will see you at the next one. Bye, girlfriend.
Bye.